pleased as I am to be back in the auditorium as opposed to the, the gymnasium. Thank you for your patience during the pandemic, but this is really where we belong. And it's nice to be back here with everyone. I apologize for how hot it is in here. I have asked anyone who will listen to me to turn the fan on or air conditioning. Hopefully, we do have a superintendent present. Maybe he'll exercise some influence and see if we can't cool this thing off. I do want to introduce, well, let me say first that I've been informed by our town clerk that the Deputy Sheriff of Plymouth County has posted copies of the notice of the special town meeting at the appropriate number of public spaces within the town and in a timely fashion. I want to introduce the officials on stage very quickly. I'm happy to indicate to you that my assistant town moderator and clock operator is a high school student, MJ Vo. Stand up, MJ. Yeah. Thank you very much. This is her first time, so be gentle with her. You will see up here at one point later in the meeting, Robert Galvin, our town council. Anthony Riley from his office is here now in his stead. Our town clerk, Naris Casper, our town accountant, Ann Bastille, our treasurer collector, Lisa Clark, our town administrator, Michael Moresco. From the select board, I want to let everyone know that Stephen Darcy, a member of the select board, was called out of state unexpectedly for business and is winging his way toward Texas. So representing the select board will be Mr. Kilcoyne and Lynn Fiddler. Our director of IT services, John Nash, is down at that end. He'll be working with us, and I'm pleased that we have our police chief and star attraction of film and fame, Phil Tavares, here tonight, along with Captain Mike McDonough. The advisory board is seated in front of you. Thomas Scollins, chairperson. Carlos Pena may be here or may not be here tonight. Keith Polanski, Donald McAteer, Mark Ford, Susan Tiskowitz, Paul D. Cristoforo, and Sherry Costello. Now, we do have some out-of-town visitors and out-of-town committee members and various positions with respect to their boards. I'm going to read their names, and then I'm going to ask you by a majority vote to allow them to remain on the floor or with their committees and boards. They understand that this is a privilege that's being extended to them and that they are not to vote on any of the articles. So if you catch any of them voting, just let us know, and I'm going to send the police chief over there and we'll straighten that out. All right, so let me read the list for you. Andrew Stewart, Carol Hamill of the Building Department, Carol Hamilton, Council on Aging, Bill Grafton, Conservation, Rod Procaccino, the DPW, Tom Reynolds, the DPW, Mike DeMayo, Harbor Master, Gary Russell from the Health Department, Michael LaSelva, Michael LaSelva from the Fire Department, John Nash, who I introduced for our IT Department, Dave Kelly from the RT Department, and Jay McGillis from the IT Department. We have Cindy Marcoux from the library. We have Mike McDonough, who have I introduced, from the police department. We have Craig Jameson from the recreation department, Jeff Granatino from the schools, Ann Bastille, the town accountant, Lisa Clark, the treasurer collector, Karen Paulette of the Veterans Services, Lisa Potts from the Veterans Services. We have a gentleman, Rick Brulard, sorry Rick if I butchered that, but he's here to help us when we come to the housing articles. We have Sean O'Leary from MCTV and his crew, and Anthony Riley is from out of town. So he needs to also have your permission. So all those in favor of allowing these people, yes. Could you say that just a little loud? Paul Duras III, the water advisor from the DPW. All right, so if all those people, you've heard their names, they understand that they can't vote, but they would like to be with their various boards and committees. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, it clearly passes by majority vote. So please take a seat. Welcome to our town meeting. We are happy to have you. Now, I do want you to remember that we do have exits. We have one exit from the stage to my right, one exit in the far right. If you're up in the stadium seats, there are two exits at the top there. There's an exit that most of you came through when you checked in, and I think I got them all. So please, familiarize yourselves with that. There are restrooms out in the area where you entered if you need to excuse yourself for any reasons. We're going to have 5 voting sections tonight, and we have one visitor's non-registered section. So anyone who is visiting and is not a Marshfield resident who is registered to vote will be seated in the visitor section. Once again, if you see any of them voting, let me know. They're not supposed to. All right, and let me read the tellers and identify the sections for you. All right, what did she do with it? All right, Section A, Anne Marie Sennett. Stand up, Anne Marie. This is Section A. Should just be down right here. Show everybody where Section A is. Section B, Jeb Deloach. There's Jeb right there. Section C, Anne Marie Sacchetti. Anne Marie, she's waving way in the back aisle there. Section D, Ned Bangs. Ned's way up in the stadium seats, wearing his hat tonight. All right, and Section E, Andy Winning. Where's Andy? Andy's right there, waving. So, and on the as far as the members of the advisory board who care to vote and members of the town officials here on the stage, they will be counted by our town clerk. So look and see where you are. And you will, when we go to a standing vote, stand, you'll be counted, and then you can sit down. We are taking some COVID-related precautions still. You will see that there are 2 microphones right in the middle of the room. One that I'm looking at right here and another to my right. There are our famous plastic baggies that you are to put over the mic when you approach it. When you are through, please take the bag off. There's a waste paper basket that you can put it into. There are some wipes there too. That's so everyone won't be using the same surface, if you will, when you're talking from those particular microphones. Down here is where the articles will be presented, and there are microphones available on the stage and to the advisory board. So now, on a more serious note, I would ask for a moment of silence on behalf of our country, on behalf of our Commonwealth, and on behalf of our town. Thank you. Presenting the colors tonight will be the Scout Troop 424. And citizenship is one of the pillars of scouting, and you may proceed, Scouts. I'd ask that you rise as the colors are presented. In just a moment, I am going to have our veteran, Ed Timlin, the Graves Officer for the town of Marshfield, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, but I want to give you some information concerning his service. He enlisted in the Navy prior to graduating from Youngstown State University in 1966. He was commissioned ensign in January of 1967. He was assigned to the U.S. Naval Mobile Construction Battalion 9 and served 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. Ed was awarded the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, the Vietnam Campaign Medal and Device, and the Combat Action Ribbon. He was honorably discharged in November of 1969 and went on to serve 3 additional years in the active reserve. Ed and his wife Paula have lived in Marshfield for 48 years and raised their 2 children, Mark and Brenna, here. Ed is a trustee of the Veterans Memorial and an active member of the Korean War Veterans Association. Now, after Ed leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance, he will then be joined by 4 students from the Marshfield High School Martial Airs: Alex Lloyd, a junior; Mary Beth McGarry, a senior; Toby Mannett, a junior; and Bennett Reagan, a senior. And certainly, if you feel so moved, join them in singing the national anthem. Ed? Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Come on up. Can you spare one of your mics? Because I think I'll have them sing from right here.
See by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I would ask that you remain standing while the colors are retired. Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. All right. As you all know, this town meeting is the legislative board for the town of Marshfield. I would remind everyone it's not a hearing, it's not a substitute for a regularly scheduled meeting of any of our town boards or committees. If any of you have information you wish to share with the meeting, please do so long as you are within the scope of the article. Please also preface your remarks by telling us whether you oppose the article or support the article you are addressing, and tell us why we should either support or vote against the article. If you absolutely need a piece of information before you can decide whether to vote for or against a particular article, I will try to get that to you. All questions should be directed to me, not to any of the individual town boards or town officials. If I'll decide whether or not a town officer or official must respond. I also reserve the right to ask you, do you already know the information that you're seeking? And if you do, I'm going to ask you to share it with us, because there's no point in, if you already have it, let us consider it as well. I have now a financial report being given by whom? The town treasurer collector. Thank you.
Hello, Lisa Clark here. Tonight I stand before you to tell you that the financial health and well-being of the town of Marshfield is fit, secure, and consistent. This is thanks to our very strong and reaffirmed bond rating of AA+ and Standard & Poor's +1 on short-term borrowing. Strong management and sound fiscal policies, we are and have been a recession-proof community for 6 years, and that trend continues. The town of Marshfield's free cash was certified at $9,202,809. Of that amount, general fund is $5,184,993. Water retained earnings, $1,542,528. Wastewater retained earnings, $1,168,846. And solid waste retained earnings, $1,306,442. After tonight's meeting, votes, if all approve, we will have the following balance with free cash. General fund, $2,201,777,000. These funds will be set aside to cover health care and pensions. Water retained earnings, $1,347,528. Wastewater retained earnings, $943,846. Solid waste retained earnings, $1,051,442. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As you all know, we have 14 articles on the warrant tonight, and my objection, with your cooperation and assistance, is to finish this meeting tonight. I think we should be able, if we all work together, to accomplish that. If it looks like we're close, but we haven't finished as we near 10:30, I will ask you to suspend the rules so that we can finish in one night. I do this as a matter of courtesy to the people who have to make arrangements to get here, whether it's babysitters or their job requirements or senior citizens that have to arrange transportation to and from the meeting. So let's see if we can get that done and get it accomplished this evening. There are two articles, one of which is a resolution, which is Article 13, and one of which is the citizens' petition, which is Article 14, and I will hold those to the end of the meeting. They will be the last two articles considered. The remaining articles go into the lottery, and Madam Clerk, if you will go ahead and swing the tumbler, let's get going. All right, the first article of business tonight is Article number 4. The Select Board moves that the town vote to, what's on deck? 7. Article 7's on deck. All right, Article 4. The Select Board moves that the town vote to transfer the sum of $459,417.55 of bond premiums received from the sale of bonds and bands in July of 2022 and authorize them to be expended for town infrastructure work and repairs. This article is submitted by the Select Board. I recognize the Town Administrator, Mr. Maresco.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Moresco, 201 Arlington Street. Folks that have been here many times, bond premium of funds paid to the town by financial institutions as commission on the sale of bonds and bonds. The premiums were allowed under Mass Municipal Act 2016 under Chapter 44, Section 20, to be used to fund similar capital projects to the projects funded from the original bonds and bonds. And as folks know, that goes into an infrastructure account. Like different than regular funds, they don't expire at the end of the fiscal year. They stay in that account. They're managed by Fred Russell, our facilities director, and they're used for infrastructure repairs, either in general government side or on the school side.
Thank you very much. I go now to the Advisory Board. I recognize Ms. Kiskowitz.
Advisory Board recommended adoption of this article with a unanimous vote. I believe it was 6-0. If anybody has a different, if it's a different vote count, but it was 6-0. Thank you.
All right, and please, even though you have a mic, if you speak up in the future, we all appreciate it. I am told that the Select Board was unanimous in its vote to support this article, and I've even been told the Capital Budget Committee was supporting the article. At this point, we are going to go to the floor. Is there anyone on the floor who wishes to address this article? I see no one in either microphone. We're going to go to a vote. To passage requires a majority. All in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, it clearly passes by more than a majority. So Article 4 has passed. The next article you said was 7? Is that correct? Article 7. The Community Preservation Committee moves that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $200,000 from fiscal year 23 Community Preservation Fund reserves for the support of community housing affordable housing under Chapter 44B, the Community Preservation Act, to fund the purchase installation of generators at the Marshfield Housing Authority elderly housing complexes. Said funds to be expended under the direction of the Community Preservation Committee and the Marshfield Housing Authority. This article is submitted by the Community Preservation Committee and the Marshfield Housing Authority, who will be, I see Mr. Cantwell down there. I recognize Mr. Cantwell.
Yes, hi, my name is Kevin Cantwell. I'm chairman of the Marshfield Housing Authority. As you said, these generators will allow for the backup power outage at the Grace Rider and T-Rock Housing Authority facilities. The community rooms will be heated so that our elderly, there's life services. We've done a lot of maintenance of these buildings. We'll continue to do maintenance, the roofs, the power doors, other systems there. These generators will help the residents of both the facilities in case of an outage to provide power and critical life safety issues. We do have a lot of frail and elderly seniors in both developments. So I'm here obviously in support of this article. The Housing Authority the CPC voted in favor of this unanimously.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cantwell. I turn now to the Advisory Board. Mr. McAleer. Is your mic on, Donnie?
The Advisory Board recommends approval of this article. These residents are some of our most vulnerable citizens. The generators will protect the infrastructure of both complexes, which has recently been modernized. Without them, there is a high risk of the structures, and there are 40 units in Grace Rider and 120 units in T-Rock Garden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cantwell. Go to the, or Mr. McAleer, excuse me. I am told the Select Board was unanimous in its vote to support, and the Capital Budget Committee is also in support. I see people standing at the microphones. I would remind you, before you get to the heart of your comments, please give your name and your address so that the town clerk can make it part of the record. I'll turn first to this gentleman at the left microphone. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I'm John Murray. I live at T-Rock Garden at 11 T-Rock Garden, Apartment B. And I come here today to speak in favor of this purchasing and installing this generator. And what I wanted to say was, you know, the weather patterns kind of indicate that the things are changing, they're becoming more severe. And for that reason, we need a backup power generator to ensure the physical safety and operational continuity of our critical life-sustaining medical devices that are used by many of our tenants. As you said, we have a vulnerable population. These are elderly, disabled, we have veterans in there, and it's necessary to have a go-to warming space, a common area like what would be our community room in Building 17 is the ideal location. I'm glad it was selected for all there to be, they can have access to warmth and power for their devices. The generator would maintain a badly needed life-supporting environment. We really need and appreciate you providing funding for this project and moving forward, maybe completing it as early as possible. Acceleration of the project would be most helpful to allow us protection for this winter season. It's prognosticated to be quite cold and stormy. And on behalf of all the residents of T-Rock Gardens and Grace Ryder, I thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, sir. I'm going over to the microphone to my right. I see a gentleman in, I'll say it's a sweater. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Corinne Griffiths. I'm a Marshfield resident, Castle Green, but I work at 135 Main Street, which is the Grace Ryder complex for the nonprofit Road Responsibility. I'm speaking to advocate for the people that I support. They do have electrical devices that are necessary for their transportation and food to prepare for them. So it's not only an issue of heat or discomfort. It really is a necessary thing for them to be safe in that housing complex for any extended period of time. And with Marshfield winters, we never know 1 year from the next how long the power outages will take effect. The other gentleman expressed everything far more eloquently than I can. I don't have a prepared statement, but I just wanted to be here for the people that I support since they can't be there here for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe the gentleman behind you was before this other gentleman. Is that you, Mr. Lynch?
Yes, Steve Lynch, 50 Central Street. I'm in favor of this article, actually. I just want to say that unlike men, generators are not created equal. Caterpillar, Kohler, or Cummins. Don't buy anything else. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Going to the gentleman to my left.
Joe Pasevich, Wilson Road. Seconding the comment of the previous speaker, he's absolutely right. Quick question, what is the fuel for these generators and how many are there?
All right,
Otherwise, I'm in favor.
Okay, can you answer that question?
How many generators are there? There's one at each location. Two total. One at Grace Ryder, one at T-Rock.
How are they fired? What's the fuel?
If is Rick, I do have Rick here. Is Rick here from the housing? Rick, come on down. Rick, come on down front. Rick is. You can speak from there, Rick, if you want. Rick,
Natural gas, both.
All right, just name and address, please.
Main Street, Grace Ryder, natural gas, and T-Rock Gardens, natural gas.
No, your name and address.
Oh, I apologize. Rick Brulard. I work for Quincy Housing Authority, who's management agent for Marshfield Housing Authority. Their address is 80 Clay Street.
Thank you. All right, I think he answered your question there, Mr. Pasevich. Seeing no one else at microphones, we're going to go to a vote. This requires a majority for passage. All in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, it clearly passes by more than a majority. Our next article is 11? Article 11. And 10 is on deck. Article 11, the Board of Public Works moves that the town vote to amend the town's vote under Article 16 of the April 25, 2022 special town meeting that appropriated and authorized a borrowing of $3 million for the cost of repairs and improvements to the forced sewer main and related equipment on Plymouth Avenue, which project is now complete and authorize the remaining $1 million balance be expended on other municipal sewer repair projects, including all costs incidental and related thereto, said funds to be expended under the general supervision of the Board of Public Works and the DPW superintendent. This is an article submitted by the Board of Public Works. I recognize the DPW superintendent.
Tom Reynolds, DPW Superintendent, Mr. Moderator. Article 11, in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, the town we would like to reappropriate this $1 million in yet to be borrowed funds initially approved to finance the cost of the Plymouth Avenue Force Main Repair Project. What we found as we were doing this project is we identified a few locations that are in desperate need of replacement. Ashburton is one of them. It's the oldest sewer main in town, and it needs to be upgraded before we have a catastrophic issue. And you know, a lot of these pipes are in the ground for over 50 years. A lot of them are located in saltwater marsh. Some of them are also asbestos concrete. So it's not very, it doesn't stand up very well with salt water. So having this money reallocated to use for this project would be a great help for the whole community.
And this is by unanimous vote of the commissioners?
This money was bonded, Mr. Moderator, through enterprise funds of the wastewater.
All right, and your entire board is in favor?
Yes, they are.
All right. Turn now to the advisory board. Recognize Mr. Ford.
The advisory board has voted unanimously to recommend approval of this article. As Mr. Reynolds previewed, this is a way to fund these projects more quickly than other methods in which DPW may seek funds, so we'd be able to address the important needs at Ashburton Avenue as well as many other streets in the near term, and for those reasons, we recommend approval.
I am informed the select board was unanimous in its vote to support this. I look at the microphones. I see one person at the microphone to my right, please.
Kathy Sullivan, 112 Plymouth Avenue. I have a question about the Plymouth Avenue aspect of this.
All right.
Is the road work considered completed? I hope not.
Hang on just a moment. Is the road work considered completed? Was that your question?
Yes, because it's
All
not,
right.
to
All
me,
right.
it's not done.
Okay, let me see if I can get an answer for you, okay? Mr. Reynolds, can you answer that? Would you please?
The road work is not completed.
Okay.
If today we actually had the contractor out there patching some of the existing trenches. So there's still more work to be done out there.
Yeah, because it's really treacherous driving
Right.
at a normal rate of speed. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. I don't see anyone else at either microphones. We'll go directly to a vote. This requires majority vote for passage. I should have said the Capital Budget Committee is in support of this article as well. So all those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, it clearly passes by more than a majority. All right, the next article then is 10. And Article 3 is on deck. Article 10, the Board of Public Works moves that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $151,345.27 to pay costs of repairing the water main that crosses the Dyke Road Bridge, including all costs incidental and related thereto. And to meet this appropriation, transfer said sum from the unexpended funds initially borrowed to finance costs of the Spring Street water main construction project, as approved under a vote of the town passed on October 25, 2016. It was Article 10, which project is now complete and for which no further financial liability remains. Said funds to be expended under the general supervision of the Board of Public Works and the DPW superintendent. This is a Board of Public Works article. I recognize the DPW superintendent, Mr. Reynolds.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Article 10 is to reappropriate funds, balance of funds from the Spring Street water main project to a like project on the dike where we'll replace the water main that passes underneath the dike.
Thank you very much. Turn now to the advisory board. Recognize Ms. Costello.
Sherry Costello, Freshbrook Way. The advisory board unanimously recommends approval of this article. The money was originally intended for the Spring Street project, and the money that they're asking for was unexpended. Project has been completed, and all the expenses were satisfied. The money will be transferred to pay for the repairs to the Dyke Road water main that crosses the bridge.
Thank you very much, Ms. Costello. I'm informed that the Select Board was unanimous in its vote to support this article, and that the Capital Budget Committee was also in support of the article. I turn now to the floor. I don't see anyone at either microphone. We'll go directly to a vote. This requires a majority to pass. All in favor, raise your hands. All those opposed, clearly passes by more than a majority. The next article is number 3. The Select Board and who's on deck? One is on deck. The Select Board moves that the town vote to amend the Marshfield Town Code, Division 2, Personnel, Chapter 188-11, by replacing the existing Schedule B, part-time and seasonal position, with the new Schedule B, part-time and seasonal positions, printed under Article 3 of the Special Town Meeting warrant. This is an article submitted by the Select Board. I recognize the Town Administrator, Mr. Maresco.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Maresco, 201 Arlington Street. Before I get into it, I did want to point out a Scribner's error. On the beach supervisor, you'll see on the chart, it says $18 to $24 per hour. It should actually say $18 to $26 per hour. For folks that were at the annual town meeting in the spring, we had increased that by $2 to $26, so I wanted to point that out. This is a standard article. Whenever we make changes to Schedule B chart, we've made 2 changes here. One is the animal inspector, raising the salary from $25,000 to $5,000 so that we would be more competitive in getting folks to do that job. And the other is adding the sealer of weights and measures. It's very interesting. Very quickly, I got a call in March from the Commonwealth. They noticed that our population is over 20,000. Of course, we're almost 27,000, so they've been behind for probably 20 or 30 years, but they've been paying for the sealer of weights and measures. They notified myself as the town administrator on behalf of the town that we have to pick up the cost, so we went out and we hired a professional weights and sealer person that does a number of our surrounding communities. He charges $5,000 and he charges a fee, which then it's net neutral on the $5,000, but we needed to add that to Schedule B. So those are the changes, and we would ask town meeting to support that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Maresco. Turn now to the advisory board, Ms. Tiskowitz.
As Mr. Maresco indicated, the 2 line items in the Schedule B that are be updated are the animal inspector line and the sealer of weights and measures. Those are the only changes to the Schedule B being proposed by the Select Board. The advisory board voted unanimously to endorse support of this article.
I am informed, thank you very much. I'm informed that the Select Board voted unanimously to support this article and that the Capital Budget Committee also is in favor of the article. I'm going now to the floor. I don't see anyone at either microphone. This requires a majority vote to pass. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. It's been pointed out to me by acting town council that we're going to have 2 votes. The first vote is to increase that figure from $24 per hour to $26 per hour that Mr. Maresco indicated. That will. Is there any debate on that amendment? Seeing no one at the microphones, this will require a majority vote for passage. All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you. All those opposed? It clearly passes by more than a majority. The article is now correctly amended, so it indicates $26 per hour. I don't see any further debate on the article as amended. Let's go to a vote. That's going to require a majority vote as well. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed. It clearly passes by more than a majority. Thank you. The next article up is Article number 1. And on deck is what? 3? 2. And Article number 2 is on deck. Article number 1, the Select Board moves that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $6,265.89 to pay unpaid bills from prior fiscal years, and to meet this appropriation, transfer said sum in the amount set forth in the chart printed under Article 1 of the special town meeting warrant from the corresponding fiscal year 2023 budget for the department. This is submitted by the Select Board. I recognize the town administrator, Mr. Moresco.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Moresco, 201 Arlington Street. It's a very standard article we see at special and annual town meeting. This is for paying a late bill. Late bill means that for some reason we didn't get the bill until after the close of the fiscal year, after June 30th. The only way to pay that bill is come before town meeting, get town meeting approval. We need a 9/10 vote to be able to pay that bill, and the bills represent $6,265.89.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moresco. Turn now to the advisory board. Recognize Mr. Polanski.
Keith Polanski, Advisory Board. This is the annual article in the fall. This is the only place where we can pay these vendors. They are due this money, and we need to pay them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Polanski. I'm informed that the Select Board was unanimous in its vote to support this article, and that the Capital Budget Committee also was in support of the article. I don't see anyone at either microphone. Let's go directly to a vote. Now, this requires 9/10 to pass. So all in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed. It clearly passes by 9/10 or even more. So we turn now to Article 2 and what's on deck. Article 9 is on deck. So we're at Article 2, Article 9 on deck. Let me just note something. The Select Board, Article 2, the Select Board moves that the town vote to amend the Marshfield Town Code, Division 2, Personnel, Chapter 188-1, by replacing the existing fiscal year 2022 Schedule A compensation plan with the new fiscal year 2023 Personnel Bylaw Schedule A compensation plan printed under Article 2 of the special town meeting warrant. This article was submitted by the Select Board and recognized the town administrator, Mr. Moresco.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Moresco, 201 Arlington Street. This is a annual article that we have at the special. What we do is we're in the third year of our collective bargaining agreement. Our union members are getting a 3%. We always mirror that in the fall with an article to give our bylaw employees the same rate of increase. So I'm asking town meeting to support this so that the bylaw employees get the same increase that the unions get. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moresco. I turn now to the advisory board. Recognize Mr. Polanski.
Keith Polanski, Advisory Board. We recommend approval of Article 2. This is the only place that these employees can get paid with a raise. We think it's the right thing to do, so we urge you to support it.
I am informed, thank you, Mr. Polanski. I'm informed that the Select Board voted unanimously to support this article and that the Capital Budget Committee is also in support of the article. I turn now to the floor. I don't see anyone at either microphone. We're going to go directly to a vote. It requires a majority for passage. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed. It clearly passes by more than a majority. Our next article is 9, and who do we have on deck? What? 6. And 6 is on deck. Article 9, the Board of Public Works moves that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $100,000 to increase the fiscal 2023 wastewater budget appropriation from $3,822,132.76 to $3,922,132.76 to fund the reserve fund. And in parentheses, you'll see account 600104405,962. And to meet this appropriation, transfer said sum from the wastewater enterprise retained earnings, said funds to be expended under the general supervision of the Board of Public Works and the DPW superintendent. This is an article submitted by the Board of Public Works. I recognize Mr. Reynolds, DPW superintendent.
Mr. Moderator, Article 9, what happened was at the beginning of the fiscal year, and as we were working on the Plymouth Ave Force Main project, we identified an issue on Second Road, and that needed to be addressed immediately. We used our emergency line item to do this repair, and where it's at the very beginning of our fiscal year, it's important that we reestablish that emergency line item in case we have any other emergencies for the rest of the fiscal year.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reynolds. I go now to the advisory board. Recognize Ms. Costello.
Sherry Costello, Freshbrook Way. The advisory board unanimously recommends approval of this article. During the work on the Plymouth Avenue project, as Mr. Reynolds said, they uncovered an unexpected and immediate repair that needed to be done to the main sewer pipe. A $100,000 emergency line covered the expense, and this money will reimburse the reserve fund line for those emergency sewer repairs.
Thank you very much, Ms. Costello. I am informed the select board was unanimous in its support of this article. The Capital Budget Committee also in support of the article. I look at the microphones. I see no one at either microphone. Will go directly to a vote. This requires a majority for passage. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed. It clearly passes by more than a majority. And we are now going to Article 6. Article 6. All right, let me take a deep breath here. Article 6. The Select Board moves that the town vote to A, acquire by gift, purchase, and/or eminent domain the property consisting of a certain parcel of real property with the buildings and improvements located thereon, containing approximately 1.2 acres of land located at 255 Furnace Street, Marshfield, Massachusetts, and in parentheses, assessors parcel F10-05-04, and in parentheses, the premises, being the land described in a deed recorded at the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds, Book 50806, page 168, for educational and school purposes. Subpart B, to borrow $1,040,000 for the acquisition of said land, to upgrade and renovate the existing building and any acquisition costs and other costs and expenses related thereto. Subpart C, authorize the select board, the school committee, town administrator, and/or such other boards or officers as they deem appropriate to apply for and accept on behalf of the town funds, gifts, and grants, including grants for reimbursement under any federal, state, or other private programs, and to enter into any and all agreements and execute any and all instruments to effectuate the foregoing acquisition to defray a portion of the amount appropriated under this article, which may be defrayed by reimbursement following acquisition. Now, this article is submitted by both the Select Board and the School Committee. I'll recognize first Mr. Moresco, Town Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Michael Moresco, 201 Arlington Street. Before I turn it over to the superintendent, this is a article that was supported by the Board of Selectmen. It's a little different. In this particular borrowing, we would still borrow the money, but the schools would pay the note back. Unlike a debt exclusion, there would be the term of the note, so if it's 20 years, it would be debt excluded. for 20. They're going to be using their operational money to pay the note, about $77,000 a month. For someone that's in a $500,000 home, that's about $1 a month, $12 a year over the 20 years. So I wanted to just talk about that, and the Board of Selectmen will sign a MOU or an MOA, Memorandum of Agreement, with the school committee, and basically the MOA just states that the schools will use their operational funds with no additional appropriation to pay the note on this for 20 years.
All right. How much is the interest per month? Did you say
4%.
4%?
Until we go to market. Based on what they say, it's about 4%. We won't know until we actually go out to market, but based on our AA standard, we'd get the better rates.
All right. I just thought I heard the figure $77,000 per month. Was that a misstatement? Or
Annually.
Annual. All right. I thought you said per month. So it is an annual interest amount. All right. Turn now to the school committee. Recognize Mr. Granatino, superintendent. I believe he also has some slides, not photographs, slides to be presented to you. And go ahead, please, Mr. Granatino.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Again, Jeff Granatino, Superintendent of Schools. I'll go through this briefly. Again, this is a piece of property at 255 Furnace Street that has been bid on by the selectmen, and this meeting obviously needs to approve that, but we also want to explain how the funding will work if it is approved. We can move to the next slide. Just so you get an idea, not everyone can see the property, obviously, and have a chance to visit it. This is the church on the corner of 3A in Furnace Street. It was renovated a few years ago to become a preschool, but the church, it was right at the same time as the pandemic hitting, and they had a hard time getting staff in enrollment, so they did not move forward. But the inside has been set up as a preschool. It has 6 classrooms, 3 in each floor, restrooms. I think there's 6 actually in each floor. Each room has a restroom as well as restrooms for staff. Handicap accessible, there's an elevator or lift there. Contents of the building stay in the building, so everything that's in the building, and you'll see some pictures, is coming with the property, which is helpful. It has a security system, a camera system and throughout the building outside. Has playground space, there's ample parking, central air conditioning, as well as room to expand if we wanted to build out on it. If we want to go to the next slide, just some pictures here. This is when you enter, there's the lift, the elevator / lift that will get anyone that needs handicap access or assistance upstairs. This is what one of the classrooms looks like. Again, everything's in pretty much pristine condition in the classrooms themselves. You can move to the next one. Just, the space, again, used to be the church, has been divvied up into these rooms. Again, 3 on each floor, and they're all designed a little differently. There's only one weight-bearing wall that can't be moved, but the other ones, if we wanted to kind of change the configuration, we could do so if need be. Again, this is one of the open spaces in the hall that can be used, as well another classroom that this one doesn't have the classroom furniture in there though, but we could bring some over obviously from some of our existing schools outside. This is the big parking lot that's in front. There's a playground in the corner. This is behind the playground here. The playground's all fenced in. If you're concerned about Furnace Street and or 3A being a little busy, the playground area is a fenced in area. And again, this is just a view of the side of the building going up Furnace Street. The current preschool arrangement, just so you know what we have currently, we have 2 programs running out of our Daniel Webster School and the Ames Way School. We moved to the Ames Way School this year from the Martinson because of the crowding situation at the Martinson, and there was a little extra room that we were able to utilize at Ames Way. We're currently serving 155 students. There are 20 more on a waiting list or are being evaluated at this time. We have 7 classrooms. Each of these have 2.5-hour programs, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. About 1/2 of each class has students on IEPs, individualized educational plans, so we have special needs students mixed with regular education students. It's a 50-50 balance in the classrooms. We have obviously classroom teachers, but beyond that we have occupational therapists, speech therapists, ESPs, outreach specialists, and the existing staff would be used in the classrooms when we set up at 255 Furnace Street. So if we move a program out of Ames Way or out of Daniel Webster into the new property, that staff would come with them. We're not hiring new teachers. Again, classroom space at Daniel Webster and Ames Way is maxed out. Right now, there's no room for increases in enrollment or any of our support programs if we want to grow. South River, Martinson, and Governor Winslow also could not provide the similar space we might need that we can get out of the property on Furnace Street. Right now, we have resources spread across multiple buildings. The ultimate goal down the road is to have something centralized where you can have all the staff, all the resources together. You're not moving people around town because we have some part-time staff going from building to building. Obviously, we want to consolidate the early childhood teachers and their support specialists, gain additional service delivery time by reducing the travel. If we move to the next one. The big reason why we're looking at this property and why we had the discussion this summer is that universal pre-K, universal preschool is being legislated at the State House as we speak. It's already passed. The Common Start resolution is passed at the Senate level, and it's going to the House. If universal pre-K takes hold, we're going to be educating a lot more students ages 2.9 to 5 years old. And we would not have the space in our existing schools to take care of that load of students. Nor would any other town around. And so a lot of towns are also going through this process of looking for additional property.
You have about 30 seconds.
Okay, I'm going to move on. Right now, obviously, building new schools isn't going to happen because these are the average costs that we might find across the state for new buildings. Moving on to the next one. No to the debt exclusion, mainly because we've only had 4 of them, none for this size. Typically, this type of borrowing is a non-excluded debt borrowing, and the reason why we're doing it at the school level, we can't get it done at the town at this time, and we would be able to, the funding that we would typically do is shared 50-50 on those non-excluded debt projects with the town, so we'd be picking up that share. So the $75,000 a month would have been $37,500 if it was just the schools.
All right,
I'm sorry, a year.
All right.
And so we're picking up an additional $37,500 a year, which is about 0.067 of our
Mr.
operating budget.
Granatino, you need to
Yes, sir.
wrap up your remarks.
Okay,
please.
so we did not want to go through the process of a debt exclusion. We know that that is a challenge under the best of circumstances. We can work this into our budget at 0.67 of 1%, or I'm sorry, 0.67 of our overall budget, and we know that it's going to help us in the long run. It's an investment in what we know is going to be an increase in preschool down the road, and it's going to allow us to do more things at our existing elementary schools if we can free up a little space.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We go now to the advisory board. I'm going to recognize Mr. Scollins.
Thank you, Tom Scollins, Advisory Board. We voted to approve this article before we were aware of the funding. We just discussed it again tonight at a posted meeting, and we agreed to support it with the current funding mechanism. The Advisory Board recommends approval of this article by a vote of 5-0 with 1 abstention.
I turn now to the select board. I'm informed that it was unanimous in its support of this article. I was also informed that Capital Budget Committee was in support of was not in support of this. The Capital Budget Committee was not in support of this. I don't know if there's anyone here from the Capital Budget Committee wishes to speak. Yes, I'm going to recognize this woman at the left microphone. Your name and address, please.
Hi, Bonnie McCarthy, 83 Donald Road, Capital Budget Committee. Although we agreed there were numerous benefits to the town and students of Marshfield, this time our committee was informed that the proposed building at 255 Furnace Street will not have the capacity to house the whole of the current preschool program presently in Marshfield. The building is in need of unknown $100,000s of dollars in repairs before it becomes ready to house students and staff at this location. And in addition, there's a possibility that, should the state vote to require universal preschool, we may need to upgrade the property or perhaps purchase another to house the entire program in one central location.
All right, and do you have another member of your committee here?
Yes, we do.
All right, I'll recognize your name and address, please.
Richard Brentano, 3 White Holland Drive. So while the floor of the cost is reasonable and we know it provides a need, the optionality of expenses just doesn't add up. And when you consider a possible new building, new staff, whatever upgrades need to be done with the building, we as a committee can't vote to approve a certain budget based on an unknown budget.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm going to turn now to the microphone to my right. I recognize the lady in the white sweater.
Hi, Yana Lambert, Liberty Road. I have a question, and depending on the answer to the question, I might have an amendment. So the question is, the phrase "to upgrade and renovate the existing building." What upgrade and renovations are anticipated or required?
Let me see if I can get an answer for you. Can you answer that question, Mr. Granatino, or do you need assistance from someone else?
No, I should be able to answer it. And
Would you please?
I will, sir. So right now, to make it functional for us, we had a study done by Mr. Russell, brought in a few contractors from throughout the town who've done work with the district to kind of estimate some of the work needed. Installing a new power generator is one of the items. Ground floor mold mitigation right now, if you walked in there, one of the reasons why it couldn't be inhabitable right now is because there's some water in the basement that has caused some mold. We need to increase the size of the septic tank, exterior foundation, waterproofing. These are things I couldn't get to because I was talking too much on the PowerPoint. Restoration of lower level flooring and walls, replacing existing handicap ramp, and then some interior ground floor waterproofing as well. The estimate that they were looking at for this work would be about $400,000.
All right. Do you have another question?
No.
All right. Are you in favor, or are you urging us to vote against this article?
I am totally in support of investing in our future education needs in our community. 100%, 110%. I just wanted to know anything that had to do with HVAC was my concern, that this is a new municipal building or an existing, it will be new to our town's municipal inventory, that it have, that it utilize green energy in its HVAC. And if that is part of any of the upgrade or renovation, I would like to add that as an amendment.
Well, that's, if you're going to make an amendment of that length, which was longer than 10 words.
That was more explanation than.
Yeah. I think so too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think they
I
heard.
could do it in what, 25 words or less?
Then you have.
What?
If it's more than 10 words, it has to be
Okay.
in writing, and it has to be submitted to me, and it has to be approved by the town council.
So I'll do it in under 10 words.
If it's under 10 words,
Yes.
it does not have to have that done, but you need to indicate where on the language of the article you're proposing the amendment be included.
After to upgrade and renovate the existing building.
John, are you following this?
Mr. Moderator, may I ask a question of you, and this might help us. There right now is not any of the work that was identified by our maintenance team. HVAC was not one of the areas that we were going to be having to do any work on. So I don't know if that changes things.
You're not, wait a minute, whoa.
I'm sorry. I was just trying to give, I don't know.
So
if
you're
that-
not intending to do HVAC
What's in
improvement?
place now is fine. It does not need to be updated, is what I'm saying.
All right, so according to Mr. Granatino, the HVAC does not need to be upgraded at this time. Does
Okay.
that change your desire as far as an amendment?
I understand there's a power generator.
Excuse me?
I understand there's a power generator. Power generators are used fuel of some sort.
Can you answer that question, Mr. Granatino?
I would say that, yes, it does take fuel for the power generators.
Right. So, and it, in all likelihood, would use fossil fuels as in natural gas.
Gotcha.
So
So-
I would want to amend that it uses electric fuel technology, fuel cell technology, anything green.
All right, I'm
Just put anything green.
No, I'm not.
All green.
I'm just
I
trying to
don't
look.
care.
I'm just
You
trying to get the
understand my
word.
point.
I'm just trying to get the words that you want to actually use.
Utilizing green energy, renewable energy wherever practicable or possible.
All right.
Possible or practicable.
All right. John, did you follow that? Where do you want that put?
Yeah, after upgrade and renovate the existing building.
All right. And I believe that's less than 10 words. So he will show everyone a blank screen.
One, two, three,
Can
four,
you
five,
help him?
6, 7, 8. Ninth line? Yeah, under B, on the second line under B. Thanks, Bob.
Yes.
Would this be changing an existing thing? This would be a new pad.
Well, it would seem, you've heard from Mr. Granatino that they're not going to do any work on the HVAC. It doesn't need it right now.
She's talking about generators.
Is that outside the scope?
Mr. Riley? Is that outside the scope of the article? All right, first of all, I didn't recognize you. All right, and point of order does allow him to interrupt the proceedings.
Get in line.
All right. Does the amendment, does that take this, is it outside of the scope of this article?
No, I think it's within the scope of upgrading and renovating.
All right, so it's, no, Mr. Connie, he says it's within the scope of the article. All right. I have trouble seeing the screen, so is it now up there where you want it?
Yes.
Yes.
And I
All
like
right,
the words work for me.
excuse me, is it where you want it?
It's where I want it, and the words work for me.
Good, all right. Now, the,
I mean, the implication is,
hang on,
we're necessary.
Live by technology, die by technology. We're just trying to get the town clerk clear on where the language is, because she can't see the screen either from where we sit here. You're more than welcome. All
There is
right.
one word that's not correct. It's not practical. It's practicable.
Practicable.
Yes,
John.
please.
All right. Just let me know when you have it changed.
It's done.
Is it? Did he make your change?
Yes.
All right. Now it's in the form you like. Okay. We're going now to have discussion from the floor on the amendment, just the amendment, not the article itself. This gentleman, do you wish to speak to the amendment? Sir, you at the microphone. In the, neither of the two of you? All right, there's three people there to speak on the article, but not the amendment. Go over here. Mr. Lynch, do you want to speak on the article? I mean, on the amendment? Excuse me. No. Mr. Costello, do you want to speak on the amendment?
Nope, article.
All right. So what we're going to do then is this amendment is it a majority or two-thirds? All right, we'll take a majority vote to pass this amendment. So all those in favor of the amendment, raise your hand. All those opposed? Amendment's defeated. We now turn to the original language of Article number 6. I am going to go to this gentleman here that I saw first with his arms, with his arms crossed. Are you, sir, do you want to talk?
To the article.
Yes, we're talking about the article, but behind you.
Oh.
That gentleman was here first.
Jack Griffin, capital budget, Marshfield Avenue. When I read this, it says to borrow $1,040,000 for the acquisition of said land to upgrade and renovate. I don't believe that the $1,040,000 is for any renovation. I don't think that word should be in there.
Which word, sir?
Renovate.
Renovate.
I think that is for the purchase price of the building.
All right. Obviously, I did not, this was drafted by, or on behalf of the select board. Do you, Mr. Granatino or Mr. Maresco, do you have a comment? He's asking that that word, renovate, be stricken.
Mr. Moderator, Michael Maresco, 201 Arlington Street. The $1,040,000, Mr. Griffin's 100% correct. The $1,040,000, it's $1,025,000 plus $15,000 for soft costs, does not include any of the renovations.
All right. So do you have any objection, speaking on behalf of the select board, that that language, renovate, be stricken?
No, they would, the board would be in agreement that you can strike that.
All right, Mr. Granatino, speaking on behalf of the school committee, do you have any objection to that language being stricken?
No, sir.
All right, so let's get it in the form that you like, Mr. Griffin. Strike out, renovate. Does he need to strike out the word "and" or something?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
point of order, I would strike further, I would further strike to upgrade, to extend to upgrade, because
All right,
there's
well-
no upgrade in those funds.
Okay, well, let's be careful here because that's another amendment. We can have two amendments on the floor, but we're going to vote on each of them separately. So let's hold your amendment for just a moment, and let's just work with Mr. Griffin. Mr. Griffin, is the language satisfactory to you now?
It was when it was up there, yes.
Yes, okay.
There it is, yes.
All right, so now we're going to have discussion with respect to Mr. Griffin's amendment. Is there any discussion with the amendment, not the article as a whole, just the amendment? Anyone want to talk to that?
That's going to be the second one.
All right, this would require a majority vote for passage. All right, the Griffin amendment would require a majority vote for passage. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed, it clearly passes by a majority. It passed, Mr. Griffin. All right, now we're going to go to Mr. Moresco. Do you want to make an amendment to the language of Article 6?
I do, Mr. Moderator. Michael Moresco, 201 Arlington Street. I would recommend striking to upgrade and.
All right, and will you see where that is, John? Okay. And do you have anything further to offer in support of this amendment? Like, anything further?
No, that's it, Mr. Moderator.
All right. Is there any discussion from the floor with respect to the Moresco amendment? No. All right, this would require a majority vote. All those in favor of the Moresco amendment, raise your hand. All those opposed, it clearly passes by more than majority vote. We're back now to the well, I shouldn't say back now. We are now considering the original article, which has been amended twice. I'm going to recognize Mr. Griffin because he was standing the longest, and then we'll alternate between the two microphones. Mr. Griffin.
Now that we took those words out, and I know it was...
Would you just say your name and address,
again,
please?
Okay, it's Jack Griffin, Marshfield Avenue, Marshfield, Chair of the Capital Budget. Now that we have taken those words out, and we've been told that there will be existing cost for this building, we had said nothing needs to be done with the HVAC. Well, if you have mold in the building, which it does, you're going to have to go through the HVAC. That'll be the first thing I'd be checking. The second thing is the septic system has to be double the size, which was pointed out. It's very, very costly. There are other needs there, such as you're going to need additional funds somewhere down the line to bring over additional teachers, my guess is, maybe a safety officer. These are possibilities for the future as this program grows. And I know that we were offered this building at a good price, but to take a guess, being here in town and being on this board for probably 14, 15 years, it's probably going to cost double that. At least $2 million. That is my guess, being in it. And that's all I have.
And are you urging the meeting to vote against the amended article?
Say that again?
I'm asking you, are you urging the town meeting to vote in support or against the amended
I
article?
urge the town, as the committee is, my committee has urged the town not to vote for the Article 6. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Griffin. Recognize Mr. Costello at the right microphone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Sean Costello, 229 Winslow Street. I'm the chair of the school committee. I want to say a couple things really quickly, and I appreciate Mr. Granatino's presentation, but I hope folks understand, I cannot stress to you enough, pre-K, universal pre-K is coming. This is going to be something mandated by the state, and it will eventually be mandated federally too. This is looking forward to ensure that when that happens, Marshfield is prepared, and we're doing it in a fiscally responsible manner. All due respect to the Capital Budget Committee chairman who just spoke, the costs that he's talking about that they're uncertain of are costs that will exist no matter where you house this program when it is mandated. So what we're looking at, and there's a lot of fine citizens of Marshfield I see up here at the microphones who I'm sure are going to talk about fiscal responsibility. Here are your choices with this when it comes to fiscal responsibility. As I said, this is something that's going to be mandated by the state and federal government. We can spend less than $2 million right now, quite a lot less, just over $1 million right now on acquiring this building, which is in a perfect location and, all things considered, is in good enough shape. Or we can renovate an existing town building for $8 million, or we can find some new land and build a new building for $40 million. This is the fiscally responsible manner of doing this. I appreciate the select board's support on this. I appreciate the advisory board's support on this. I'm sorry to see the Capital Budget Committee would not support this. We did give them a tour of the building earlier tonight and tried our best to answer all their questions. All I can say is that we would have been able to answer those questions better had we been invited to their meeting last week when they discussed this on their agenda. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Going now to the left microphone, recognize Mr. Kelly.
Eric Kelly, Peterson Path. You know, there was never any public discussion from the school committee on this, which should have been. This is a big deal with our kids and a big expense for us and the taxpayers in this town. And as you heard from the Capital Budget Committee, lots of unanswered questions in regards to this project. I would vote to vote this down. You know, Mr. Granatino mentioned last week's school committee meeting, there may not be enough space to house all the students. I don't think there was a traffic study done in regards to the neighborhood it's going to be in. This is going to increase the school budget. You know, now they're based it on a possible mandate at the state level. It's possible that this is being stirred up by the person in the White House right now as well.
Well, let's just stick with Marshfield and Massachusetts.
Well, it is because it's a federal thing all the ways down. This impacts all of us, all right? So, you know, there's no public discussion in regards to what alternatives there are for us in regards to the scaring us saying, oh, purchasing a building might be cost prohibitive maybe, or land. But the whole thing is that there's never any discussion maybe how much will it cost to possibly add on to a school. I want to thank the Capital Budget Committee for speaking out against this. I think it goes a long ways, and I think the school committee needs to reevaluate the decision, and as well as hold a public hearing to it. And once again, you know, we don't even know what the costs are in regards to all the work that needs to be done, considering we're spending money just to buy it, never mind all the work that needs to be done to it, like the septic system, a school officer, and everything else like that. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Costello, I cannot recognize you. You've already spoken to the article.
I have a clarification as chair of the board.
Excuse me?
I have a clarification as chair of the board on something that was just said.
Well, I'm sorry. You're going to have to get another board member to say it, okay?
Okay, I'll get another board member up
Thank
here to
you.
say it.
I'm going to recognize Mr. Lynch behind you.
Lynch, 50 Central Street. So, on the presentation, we were told that we were getting the sale price at 29% less than the asking price, which would make the asking price of that building $1.3 million. And the assessed value of that building is $656,000. So that means that they believe that this building is worth twice as much as the assessed value. So I guess they've been getting the tax break for a long time. But real estate isn't selling the way it used to sell, and interest rates are up, and the market is going to collapse. If they thought they could sell this building at 29%, more than what we're going to buy it for, they would do it, believe me. I think that we should start negotiating a little bit better when we buy property. And secondly, I was just wondering how many school buildings that would create in our inventory if we buy this and use it.
Well,
That's a question for the
I understand what it is. That's, to me, that doesn't go to the heart of the article.
Well, we have to maintain this building afterwards.
Well, you can ask him how much it was going to cost to maintain it, and I'll entertain that question.
All right, forget it. Go to the next question. So I was just wondering, you know, we're hearing about how this is fiscally responsible today, but what about tomorrow or 5 years from now or 10 years from now when the feds mandate kindergarten and we have to build another building because this one doesn't house the amount of children we will have going? Is that physically responsible? I don't think so. And secondly, I was just wondering, so later on, I can just see it now. You'll be coming back to town meeting for more money on this project, a lot more money, and we could end up with a override for this. So I don't think this is, even though I know we're going to have to build a pre-K, you know, a kindergarten school eventually, but we don't have to do it right now. And to build one, to buy and renovate one now that's not going to meet the standard that we need 5 or 10 years from now, that's not fiscally responsible. Thank you.
All right, and Mr. Lynch, you're urging the meeting to vote against this article, correct?
I'm urging the meeting to make up their own mind from the information that's presented.
Well, okay. All right, now wait a minute. I see 2 people at this microphone, and I see 2 people at this microphone. That's it. That's going to end the debate. All right, so we're going to go to the lady at this microphone. Please state your name and address, please.
Pam Keith, 73 Standish Street. I have a question. Years ago, the church was trying to expand the size of the building. The neighbors were upset, and they were using it for some children's programs on the weekend. There was a lot of noise. I don't know if any of the neighbors realize this is going on. Sometimes when we buy town property, they do not know. So I don't know if there's anyone here for that. But at the time, I thought there was concern amongst the town, especially possibly the town planner, who kind of oversees the Water Protection Resource District, that this property is in that. And there was concern about the increased use going on there, if they were going to increase the size and use it constantly instead of as a church, which was more sporadic. And there was concern over the septic system possibly. So now we're talking about absolutely needing a bigger one, and I'm seeing the numbers of up to close to 180 students and only 6 classrooms, and they are big, but that's 30 kids in one place, and we're already saying that it doesn't seem to house all of them. And looking towards the future, if we think we're expanding the whole program and the way, you know, requirements are we going to suddenly call this a true school? It's kind of a small lot for a school. Are we going to call this a school, think we're going to expand it, yet we've had concerns that it's in the Water Resource Protection District? So I'd like to hear, I think, from the town planner or whoever else would be, you know, pertinent to that, just to ask, are there concerns for the Water Resource Protection?
All right, I'm going to stop the clock right now. I'll get you an answer, but when we come back, you've got 20 seconds. All right.
Pretty much done, I think.
All right. Is the town planter present, Mr. Guimond? Are you here anywhere? There he is. He's right behind you, Ms. Keith.
There he is. Hi,
Would
Greg.
you care to address this issue, please?
Greg Guimond, Ice House Lane, resident and town planner. Yes, it is in the WRPD, which is the Water Resource Protection District. It is directly across the street from a town well. We had concerns when it was going through the Board of Appeals. We would have concerns and it would require a special permit from the planning board.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Guimond. You have 21 seconds. Ms. Keith, are you done? Thank you very much. We'll go to the lady at this microphone on the right.
Hi, my name is Doreen Corsano. I live at 32 Whitford Circle.
I am the listing agent on the property, and I've been listening to things go back and forth, and I figured it was time I got up and spoke. Greg Guimon is right. At one point, they were going to expand, but what they ended up doing was buying St. Francis and Situate and moving the whole operation. They left the church. I listed the house next door, and that's sold. Now, churches don't sell churches, and that's one of the reasons why the property sat there, because the bishop would not allow them to sell. R1 zoning allows for single family, allows for daycare, and it allows for a church. The only best thing they could do was do the daycare. They did it in the beginning of the pandemic. It shut down, obviously. They couldn't get funding. The building went on the market. It listed for $1.45 million. I had it under agreement at $1.25 million. We went through a home inspection. The lady was a daycare person. She owned a couple of daycares, and she really wanted it, but kind of budget-wise and things she needed to do, she kind of took a step back. She reneged, and then the town came in, and we've been working with the town ever since. She did come back to the table, but at that point, we were with the town. I think the building is an awesome use. Having been in the schools, I was a substitute teacher for many years, and seeing all the configurations and the shortages, I think the building has been redesigned. They spent between $200,000 and $400,000 to redesign that whole building to look the way it is today. Never been used. Everything in there is brand new. The HVAC system is brand new. It's never been turned on. There is some water issues we were not aware of. The reason why we are agreeing to this number is because of the work that the town has to do to correct some of the problems in the building. And the seller rather take the hit on the number end and let the town do what they need to do, because they have the resources, the facilities, and the manpower to do exactly what they need to do. And that's why the building is where it is, and I figured I would just say this to help clarify a few things for people.
All right, well, thank you for clarifying. Are you urging the meeting to vote for or against the article?
Absolutely think this is the best thing the town could do, and the other reason, I'm a real estate agent. You don't have good schools, people don't want to move to your town, and they judge your schools before they even go looking. I will be celebrating 30 years this year in the industry, so
Okay.
we need this. We're crammed now. If we don't do it now, yeah, 5 or 10 years from now, who knows what the numbers are going to be, but at least we're making a move in the right direction
Thank
to
you.
help.
Thank you very much. Recognize this gentleman at the rear microphone, and I'm going to recognize the lady in the sweater at the right microphone, and then we are going to go to a vote. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Nicholas Drosopoulos, 814 Ames Way off of Furnace Street. I have a couple questions for the school committee.
Direct them to me first, please.
Sure, Mr. Moderator. Question number one, has there been discussion on a second means of egress for the property? Second question, is this going to be busing or parent drop-off?
All right, are those your two? Do you want any others?
Third just came to my mind, is there going to be a crossing guard? Are there going to be all school crossings posted in this area since the town is developing a pre-K
All right.
building? Thank
Mr.
you.
Granatino, can you answer those three questions?
Yes, I can.
Please do.
So for the first one, the egress, we have not had discussions on a second egress right now. We're going off the one egress that comes off of Furnace Street. The second question was, I forget it, sorry. It's a van drop-off. We don't have buses. Students that have it in their IEP that they need support and transportation to school are driven by the vans. We have, how many vans, Tom, do we have? About 9 vans. And so there would be some that would get dropped off by vans. Others would get dropped off by their parents. We don't typically have walkers. We don't have walkers at the preschool level. They either get dropped off by the van or by a parent. So at this time, I'm not sure of the need of a crosswalk, but I would obviously confer with Chief Tavares and the Marshfield Police if we needed to go down that path. But right now, it would be a van drop-off.
All right, thank you. Did that answer your questions, Mr. Drosopoulos? Thank you. Okay. Last speaker, the lady on the right microphone.
Kendra Stetson, Flagler Drive. I'm a resident parent and member of the Marshfield School Committee. Just wanted to clarify a comment that was made earlier about this not being discussed in our open meeting. It was in fact discussed last Tuesday at our meeting at Furnace Brook Middle School, where the commenter was in fact present. And just want to reiterate in my time to echo the comments from Mr. Costello that this is the financially responsible thing to do. If we wanted to renovate an existing building in town, it's going to be upwards of $7 or $8 million. To build a new building, you're looking at tens of millions of dollars. I would urge town meeting to support this article.
Thank you very much. Now, this is, we're voting on the article as amended.
I'm sorry, can I just have, I mean, there was a couple, weren't questions, but
I'll-
comments made. I just want to be able to refer back to them.
Well, I will give you, I understand, I think it's fair that you have a chance to respond, but I'm going to give you about 20 seconds, okay? And then we're going to go to a vote.
So regarding, yes, the building costs $1,025,000. The work that needs to get done, we have received quotes. We're not just guessing or guesstimating right now. We have about $400,000 worth of work that has to be done. We would use some of our existing maintenance money, some money that could be coming through existing town articles. And if we need to, if we still had some work to do in the spring, we could come back through the capital process. But we have had our maintenance team look at that, and it would be about $400,000 worth of work that has to get done. So we have an idea. We're not just waiting to double that.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Granatino. We're going now to a vote. Yes?
Point of clarification, please, in regards to the previous speaker.
No. You've spoken already on the main article. No, I'm sorry. Turn his microphone off, please. We're going now to a vote. All right, now this requires excuse me, Mr. Kelly, have a seat. Thank you. This requires a 2/3 vote for passage. So I think what we're going to do is we'll go to our first standing vote. All right, so we're going to a standing vote. So please make sure you know where your counter is and that you are in your section. So all in favor of Article 6 as amended, please stand. All right, has everyone been counted to satisfaction? All right, let's go to Section A, Ms. Sennett. 32 in favor. Section B, Mr. Deloach. 44 in favor. Section C, Ms. Sacchetti. All right, let's come back to you. Section D, Ned Bangs. 47 in favor. And Section E, Mr. Winning. 16 in favor. Let's go back to Ms. Sacchetti. 17 in favor. All right, and you have that all on the board to everyone's satisfaction. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Oh, the front. I am hurt. I'll tell you, if it's not one thing, it's another. All right, so let's go to the front of the room, and I recognize the town clerk. Still 11. I'm going to put F for front, 11. All right, did you get that, John? All right. Now, those opposed, please stand. All right, has everyone been counted to your satisfaction? Yes, and please be seated. Section A, Ms. Sennett. 2. Section B, Mr. Deloach. 9. Section C, Ms. Sacchetti. 4. Section D, Ned Banks. 13. Section E, Mr. Winning. 6. All right. Okay, it required 2/3 vote for passage. Oh, really? Just don't throw anything. All right, okay. The front of the room, I recognize the town clerk. 0. Okay. All right, it required 2/3 for passage. Looking at the figures on the board, this article passed by 83%. All right. 80, yes. Go, John. Oh, John, go back. I need the numbers. All right, 167 in favor, 34 against. That's 83 point, was that 15%? And in favor, and 16.9% against. All right, are you happy now? No. No. Okay. Let's move on. All right, what's the next? What's the next article? 8. Article number 8. The Community Preservation Committee moves that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $126,000 from fiscal year 23 Community Preservation Fund open space reserves for the support of passive recreation under Chapter 44B, the Community Preservation Act, to fund the passive recreation trail across from the Harbor Park and Brant Rock. Said funds to be expended under the direction of the Community Preservation Committee and the Harbor Master. This article was submitted by the Community Preservation Committee. I recognize Mr. Cantwell.
Kevin Cantwell, 20 George Street, Chairman of the Community Preservation Committee. As the moderator says, the CPC is in favor of recommending to fund the clearing restoration of an overgrown trail in the town-owned berm atop the DSA, the east side of Joseph Drebeck Way, across from Harbor Park for passive recreation. The Harbor Master DeMeo is here to speak to the project. I can speak to CPC issues. He can speak to the project.
All right, recognize Harbor Master Mr. DeMeo to speak with respect to the project and any of the slides you'd like to illustrate, please.
Good evening. My name is Michael DeMeo, Harbor Master. The proposed 1,800 linear foot passive recreation walking jogging trail is a permitted and shovel-ready project. This trail adds a nice option to the existing harbor walk and creates safe access to town-owned land along the waterfront. This project was also approved by the Conservation Commission on June 9th, 2021, and the Community Preservation Committee was also approved the project and funding in the amount of $126,000 on February 9th, 2022. This project is an excellent beneficial reuse of underutilized town-owned land that would reestablish an overgrown man-made trail walking path around the perimeter of the current DSA. This trail will be very similar to other trails in town that have low maintenance compacted stone dust. The previous dredge spoils have been tested in the DSA and at top of the berm. These results were posted online. And if approved, no trees away from the trail will be harmed. The trees actually add a nice feature to the trail. The trail plan is to prune and trim back only what is necessary to achieve an apron over parts of the trail. Obviously, some overhanging dead limbs and sumacs will need to be removed, no different than any other trail in town. This was a walking trail years ago that has just simply been not maintained. Harbor Park was also an underutilized park years ago as well. You can see how beautiful the park looks today. The waterfront should be a nice place to enjoy. This project aims to create just that. And this is the illustration of the DSA behind me. I think they had the blue lining, John. So, be happy to take any questions.
All right. At this time, I am going to go to the advisory board. Recognize Mr. McAleer.
The advisory board recommends approval of this article. The previously man-made trail became overgrown. As was previously stated, the current plan is to remove only vegetation that impedes the walking trail. This would be a great use of town-owned land and a fabulous extension of the Harbor Walk. On a personal note, I have walked the Harbor Walk since its inception and welcome the opportunity to walk into what I would call the wilderness and then return to civilization, the Harbor Walk.
All right, sir. I would say that the select board voted unanimously in support of this, as the capital budget committee is also in support of it. We're going to go to the floor now, and we're going to take some questions. If there are people at the mic, I see that. And I was contacted in advance of the meeting by one of your members who actually has a videotape presentation of her own as part of her 2 minutes. So are you that lady?
Mr. Moderator, could you ask them to begin it at the beginning, because they've already started playing it?
All right, could you, John, can you back it up and start at the beginning, please? And don't start her 2 minutes again. Are you satisfied? Are we at the beginning?
Yes, Diane Jordan, Bancroft Street. 2 other ladies and I went up there twice for several hours at a time to get these pictures for you so you can see what it really does look like. We fell, got scraped, thorned, bruised, and poison ivy. This is not a walkway or a trail. This was never a trail. It's not listed on any Marshfield trail maps. It is heavily vegetated, forested area with decades-old trees. There's no view. I've put dozens of pictures on Facebook pages to show every single angle. The only view is the sewer treatment plant and it smells. The back berm is 21 feet high. We've measured it, it's shown. It's 21 feet off the ground. 3/4 of the back berm is severely sloped and pitted. The top has only 2 to 5 feet wide of semi-level area. The backside of the berm is a steep drop like a cliff edge. It also is severely degraded with dying trees falling off the edge, taking large hunks of earth with them. The Army Corps of Engineers deemed these berms unstable to hold further dredge spoils. Obviously, they're also unstable to hold people. No one should be walking up here, not families, kids, senior citizens, joggers, bicyclists, and it's not budgeted for safety measures, although it's 21 feet high. This is not a $126,000 project. This is a major, heavy equipment, earth moving and tree removal project. Conservation says they're not going to cut down birch trees and can't, but you can't excavate, level, and pack stone dust around trees. That will kill them anyway. There's no money in the budget to make an edge to contain the stone dust, so it will just run off the edge into the wetlands. The trees are constantly losing branches. The Phragmites will grow up through the stone dust in a matter of weeks, and there's no money in the budget for maintenance. The Trail Committee has twice voted no on this project. They want no part of building this project. This project is a quagmire of misinformation. It's an ill-conceived and dangerous plan. Please vote no. Please vote no. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, Marshfield people, for your responsible, safe
Thank you very
consideration.
much. Thank you very much. I recognize Ms. Keith standing behind you. Hold your applause. Let's go. Let's move on. Ms. Keith.
I want to say that this...
Name and address, please.
Pam Keith, 73 Standish Street. I do want to say that this is impossible to build as stated for the reasons just stated. Very narrow berm, very steep. You cannot put a 6-foot walkway on a 5-foot or less piece of property. That is not a site plan. That is not an engineered site plan. That's all that's been shown in any meeting. There's been no legal approval by zoning or conservation for this. You're not supposed to go to conservation first. The town wants to say they have approval, but that's illegal to go there first before zoning. The only thing that was said was that there was pruning to be done for this. That is not true. We are voting tonight on money that includes excavation and grading. That has never been discussed at a meeting anywhere. It's definitely not an existing trail. It is completely impassable for a good portion of it. People have not walked there for years. The trees are all mature. There's no way to save them. They would have to be cut down. The town government is going about this wrongly. This is zoned coastal wetlands, and for our zoning, no earth is supposed to be disturbed. It's prohibited. You would need to file a formal engineered site plan for site plan review, and you need to get a special permit to build a new walkway. This is not an existing trail. They need to hold a conservation meeting after they go to zoning. They need to obey the state conservation restriction that's been on the back portion, about a third of this land for 50 years that the town ignores. They need to obey the wetland identification. The entire dredge bowl area is wetland, but a group of people decided to break the law and call it not wetlands. Vote no tonight. We're giving a blank permission slip to bulldoze this area. The site is supposed to be a natural protected environment 3 times over. Zoning, wetland law and the state restriction, and we're bulldozing in there already and pushing stuff off the berm on the Cherry Street side and already knocking down trees that they just said, we're not knocking down trees. It's impossible not to knock down trees and build this path.
Thank you, Ms. Keith. I'm going to recognize, all right, I'm going to recognize Mr. Drasopoulos, then I'm going to Mr. Lynch. I'm going to recognize the, well, no, Mr. Pasevich, I'm sorry. Well, I'm recognizing the lady in the pink blouse. Mr. Pasevich, I will not recognize you, sir. Have a seat, Mr. Pasevich. I'm not going to recognize you then. All right, so we're going to, Mr. Drasopoulos, we're going to go then to Mr. Lynch. All right, then there's a lady in pink behind. And if we're going to have to get to a vote here pretty quick. All right, so I want to make sure, excuse me just a moment. I want to make sure that the people who are against this particular proposal have a fair opportunity to get their views out on the floor. But if what I hear is repetitive and there's no new information coming, I'm going to cut the debate off. So Mr. Drasopoulos, give us something new here.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Nicholas Drasopoulos, 269 Ocean Street in Brant Rock. I want to say the Harbor Master has done a great job revitalizing Brant Rock. We are a coastal community. This is going to help bring people in walking, helps the businesses. I support what the Harbor Master is doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lynch.
Steve Lynch, 50 Central Street. So we've had two DSA areas in Marshfield, dredge spoil areas, where we could put dredge material. One of them, the sewer treatment plant has been built on. This is the last one we have. So someday we will need this again right in the near future, and who knows for how long to put dredge spoils in again. I personally worked on 3 different dredge companies that dredged the Green Harbor River. We built those berms. Those berms are to hold dredge spoils and the water that goes with them to contain it so it gets funneled into one area where it would run under the street and back down to de-water dredge spoils. It was never meant to be a trail, ever. And I would like to have the chairman of the Trails Committee speak to the vote they took tonight on whether or not they're in favor or not of this project.
All right, well, we'll see if we can get there. Do you have anything else, Mr. Lynch?
See if Ned will talk, please, first. I have a minute left. Stop running my clock.
Okay. Mr. Lynch, Mr. Lynch, look at, hey, I will let a representative of the Trails Committee speak. Wait a minute, hang on. I'm asking, do you have anything further?
I would like to defer my 1 minute left to Joe, since we have a planned presentation of a different group of people, and for you to cut him off in his new material is not fair.
All right, well, we'll see about that. All right, so let me do this. I'm going to recognize.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. I'm going to recognize a representative, if there is a representative at the microphone of the Trails Committee. Is there? No. Ned Bangs snuck up in the front of the room. All right, I recognize Mr. Bangs in the front of the room.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ned Bangs, Vice Chairman of the Trails Committee, 210 Willon Circle in Marshfield. So we did have a meeting earlier tonight before town meeting. 3 of the 4 members of the committee were there. We do have an opening actually for 2 more members, if so. Here's a plug right now, you know. So the vote was 2-1, 3 members, to not support the trail.
All right, say that again, please, Mr. Banks.
The vote was 2-1 from the Trails Committee not to support the trail.
Thank you, sir. All right, I'm going to go to the lady in the pink rose blouse.
It's nice of you to call it a blouse.
What?
Very generous. Yeah. My name's Kathleen Tenorowitz. I live at 87 Tower Ave. I am less than a mile from this site. Between my husband and I, since we've lived here in 2013, we have used that area daily between running, biking, walking, and I feel that this article proposed is making way for a project that is bigger, that includes clearing more land, and that is not fully disclosed in this article. This is not an area that is underutilized. People are using the sidewalk clearly for sightseeing purposes. where they are staying out of the poison ivy. And this is those parking lots, the vast majority of the year, they have 2-3 cars in them. The paved parking lot and the one that currently has more wood chips on it. So the future ambitions to change this area from what it is need to be fully disclosed to the people who you're asking to pay $126,000 to ruin a space that many people visit Marshfield to look at.
Thank you very much. All right, now, I'm going to go to the right microphone. Now, I see a bunch of people up there against the, we need to get on to the vote here. Who is going to be speaking next?
My name's Pam Pristis, 60 Central Street.
Yes?
I would like to ask the people in the front of the room to please consider all that was presented tonight and withdraw this plan. That being said, I am so disappointed that there are so many things wrong with the meetings that were held, sometimes with no notice.
All right,
and
well,
the
we're not
meetings-
there. We're here tonight, okay?
And the meetings that were not held, like a zoning hearing to get the needed permit to construct a walkway. I ask our fellow voters to please consider what we Brant Rock residents are working so hard to stop. Please don't vote yes for something that impacts our neighborhood in such a detrimental way. One day they will come up with a plan that will impact you in the same way, and you will be looking to us to support you as your neighbors. We urge you to vote no. We residents need to stick together and force the town officials to follow procedure and abide by the laws. The state conservation restriction in the coastal wetlands zoning district were created 50 years ago. This land is not supposed to be developed on a new walkway, and a new walkway can only be built after a zoning special permit and a formal site plan is presented. This approval process simply was not followed. If this plan is passed, we are prepared to file an environmental lawsuit against the town of Marshfield, already having well over 10 people who live in the area. This is the only way to correct the wrongs that have been done. This will cost a great deal of money on top of what is already out there before all is said and done. Please vote no so we don't have to go down that road. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you very much. Look to the gentleman at the left microphone, sir.
William Finn, 96 Dog Lane.
Hi, Bill.
I would like to correct some of the information that's been provided to the meeting with a handout that refers to the Massachusetts Department of Natural Resources in 1971 and Chapter 130, Section 105 implementation, and that the town has violated that implementation. I was at the meeting when Commissioner Brownell in 1971 put that restriction on the marshes in Green Harbor. That restriction was applied to the 2 islands to the, if you referred to the screen up there, to the left of the Drybeck Way. There were 2 islands in the middle of the harbor. At the time, it was applied because we had no wetlands bylaws in the town, and the Wetlands Protection Act was nowhere in sight. It had not been implemented at the state level. And at the time, there was a plan that was being proposed to dredge that whole marsh area and expand the Green Harbor Marina. And those 2 islands were protected by Commissioner Brownell in an effort, at the behest of the town, in an effort to prevent the expansion and dredging of all of that marshland. So I just wanted to correct the record on that. The town's not in violation.
All right, are you urging town meeting members to support or to vote against this article, sir?
I am urging the town meeting to support the issue.
Ms. Keith, no, you can sit down.
I just point of
Excuse me, Ms. Keith, have a seat, please. Ms. Keith, have a seat, please. All right, there's a...
Okay, hi, my name's Mary Murphy, 252 Ocean.
All right, hang on just a moment. How many other people leaning against the rail intend to talk? That gentleman and the lady behind him. All right, that's it.
Okay, 2 questions, because I know the clock's running. So Kevin, CPC, when they voted for this, can you let me know, was it in voting for the pathway or just to bring this to town meeting?
Can you answer that question, Mr.
Yeah,
Campbell?
we voted on what's in front of you at town meeting.
So you're, the CPC, the Conservation Preservation Committee is for this pathway, and it's voted for recreational purposes, not for open space?
Recreation is open space.
Okay, we'll beg to differ. Mr. DeMeo, I do want to thank you for the work that you've done around the harbor. The harbor park is delightful. However, I do believe that your services on land should really be looked more on the water, because right now this pathway is going nowhere. As you know, and I brought up to the ZBA meeting back in spring of this year, I talked about the DEP meeting, or the TEP letter, right? The letter sent, the DEP sent a letter to Marshfield stating that the site area was toxic and that the place was going to be closed based upon the amount of matter that was going to be entered. Now, we know that the matter hasn't been tracked, and that's one thing I definitely want to follow up with. And I also noticed that the site has been now tested. The testing is only 3 feet, but as you identified in the zoning board meeting, the town has been dumping dredge material since the mid-30s. Is no one here, or you, or maybe the CPC, is anybody concerned about the testing and how it went about?
Well, I think I'll take that as a rhetorical question, ma'am. Of course they're concerned.
I would like to ask Mr. DeMeo what he thinks of the testing being only 3 feet, knowing that he's testing material as it goes in. And I'm not talking about him as the harbor master. I'm talking about previous harbor masters from the 30s, the 40s, the 50s,
Well, all right,
the 60s, and
we
when
only
they were
have
dumping.
one harbor master, and he's Mr. DeMeo, all right? Mr. DeMeo, do you care to respond to that? Can you answer that question? If you would, please.
Yes. So thank you, Mary, for the sort of kind words. So obviously, I work for the town of Marshfield, and it's not all things water. Sometimes it's land as well. So we all work together through meetings, and I'm just the person that gets things done down on the pier. So you were at the zoning board meetings, and that was not for the walking trail. That was for a different project. And we went out, and we had the area tested with a DEP-approved plan. We dug down 5 to 10 feet on the borings. The walking trail was done 3 feet. Those plans are online. Everything is online. All the testing was done. This is just to bring back a walking trail like previously exists. If you go in open source documents, okay, and look at the previous area there, on historical aerials, go on Google Earth, you can see the trail that was previously there. So I know there's people in this room that used to walk that trail years ago as well. I'm just trying to bring it back to a beneficial reuse for that area.
Excuse me, let him finish, please. Are you through, Mr. DeMeo? Yes. All right. Now, there's a gentleman in the black shirt. I recognize you, sir. You want to talk? Nope. I'm recognizing you, sir. Do you want to speak? Excuse me. Step back, Mr. Pasevich. Step back. I'm recognizing the gentleman in the black shirt. Do you wish to speak? Mr. Pasevich? Mr. Pasevich, step away from the mic, sir. The gentleman in the black shirt, do you want to speak? Mr. Whoever you are, sir, do you want to speak? Then take the microphone. Name and address, please.
Eric Murphy, Ocean Street, Marshfield. So I'm wondering if we could have the map put up back with the green line around it.
Can you do that, John? The map with the green line around it. That one?
Sorry, I'm colorblind. Blue line.
Close enough.
Inside that blue line, what's that? They're calling that the DSA. What does that stand for?
Dredge and Spoils Area, I believe.
Dredge Spoils Area? That means it's spoiled, correct? That to me means it's been spoiled. I've been growing up in Marshfield since 1970. I rode my dirt bike on the berm, so it's not a walking trail, it's a dirt bike trail, which the kids are now riding it again with no supervision at 11 o'clock at night. It was never a walking trail, it was always a dirt bike trail, and in the 83-4, we were told to get off the trail because it was hazardous and we weren't allowed to bring the mud out onto the street. So that being said, it's really not a walking trail, it's a dirt bike trail.
All right. Do you have something else?
Secondly, where CPC money, I have a question for CPC. Where CPC money is purchasing this, does CPC money fund the maintenance and care of the, or once they buy it, they're out of it, right?
All right, can you answer that question?
Yes, I can. Yes,
Mr.
CPC,
Tamro?
as you're aware, we do not maintenance involved there. We do not fund the maintenance.
Okay, so the trail committee's not gonna do the maintenance because they voted no. CPC's not gonna do the maintenance because they don't do that. So once we build the trail, in 2 years, it'll go right back to brush and be gone, and it'll be $120,000 wasted. I say no to the trail.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, I'm going to, the lady in the cream-colored sweater, blouse.
Hi, my name is Marlene Labossiere. I live at 75 Central Street. I explored the area with my colleagues several times. We photographed, videoed, and measured. There were thorny bushes, steep hills, poison ivy. We stumbled through uneven terrain, were whipped by flexible leafy branches, bitten by bugs. But it was important work designed to bring you the actual state of the land where this so-called walking path would be constructed. When we had taken our photographs and videos and completed our exploration, we tried to extricate ourselves from the top of the berm to the bottom area, which is now a fragmite graveyard, with the victims of the first murderous mowing lying smothered beneath the latest massacre. My friends managed to combine scooting on their bottoms, grasping for the support of broken branches, clutching each other, and allowing gravity to drag them down the crumbling walls, which long ago were intact berms. I didn't choose my method to reach the bottom. I think I started out okay, at least I was upright, but somehow my booted feet left the top of the berm, and without further ado, my bottom was rudely introduced to the bottom of the deteriorating berm. That trip left me physically bruised, but with a new awareness of how important it is to fight against this project. Because even with the most stringent and protective safeguards, people will be walking in some parts of the trip atop a 20-foot structurally unsafe mountain of dirt, rocks, and compacted vegetation.
Could you complete your
Yes.
remarks, please?
Please vote no on this unsafe, poorly planned, economically infeasible, and totally unnecessary project.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Pasevich. All right, I will recognize you now. Mr. Grafton, I'm sorry, but I made Ms. Keith sit down, sir. I can't recognize you. You rose too late. All right, this is it. Last speaker.
Joe Pasevich, Wilson Road. I just want to make a comment. A town-employed consultant said that 2 islands were set aside. Those 2 islands were set aside as mitigation because some of the state conservation land was being taken, I believe, for the sewer plant. So, or for the bridge. That's right. I'm sorry, I mixed it up. Some land was taken. Some of the state conservation restricted land was taken for the bridge, and so as mitigation, the islands which previously had not been protected were then protected. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I understood from previous meetings, Mr. Moderator, that this was going to be a Disabilities Act trail. It was going to be compliant with the ADA. And that would require it to be 8 to 10 feet wide. Is that true?
Is this trail envisioned ADA compliant, either Mr. Cantwell or Mr. DeMayo?
Yes, it is. And
All right,
also,
he said yes.
Furthermore, sir, I'd like to bring back Mr. Grafton to ask a few of the technical questions that Mr. Pasevich is
No,
talking about.
I'm sorry. We're going to go on. We're going to have a vote. Thank you.
So,
all right, he said yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So as we see from photographic evidence and aerial evidence, some parts of this trail are like 3, 4, 5 feet wide only, and there's a lot of sloughing. If any engineers are here, you know the term angle of repose. You can only pile dirt up so high before it starts to run off and slough. And that's what's happening here. This was not a berm built to last. So what I'm trying to say is there's some places where the trail is, the cross-section is kind of pointy. So what do you gotta do? You gotta chop it off, or you've gotta build up the sides to get your at least minimum 8 to 10 foot wide width on top. That is a massive earth-moving operation, and a lot of that dirt is gonna fall into the wetlands that are adjacent to the berm. Also, the testing results, I did testing and site characterization for 20 years. To take 3 cups of soil along an 1,800-foot trail does not give you an accurate depiction of what the chemical conditions are in those soils. So vote no.
All right. Mr. Finn, I'm sorry, I can't recognize you, Mr. Finn. We're going to a vote now. Majority vote is required for passage. A majority vote is required for passage. So let's try first with a show of hands. I'm going to give Mr. DeMayo and Mr. Cantwell 15 seconds. Do you want to reply to anything before we go to a vote?
So,
No, just a moment. Now let's come on, a little courtesy here, please. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, please. Go ahead, sir.
thank you. So I thank you all for being here tonight. Obviously, some questions were brought up, a lot of some inaccuracies, and that's why the town started putting all these documents on the town website. As soon as the test results came back, they were put up online. The permit for this is done. Regardless of the $126,000, we still have the right to go in there and do trail maintenance. It might not look as pretty, but the $126,000 you have to remember is you have to pay prevailing wages for do this kind of work. You just can't hire a person $10 an hour to do the work. So the 126 is what needed to bring the trail back to what it could be.
All right, thank you very much,
Thank
Mr. DeMille. You're more than welcome. All right, this requires a majority vote for passage. So let's try first show of hands. All those in favor of Article number 8, raise your hand. All those opposed? It clearly is defeated. Article 8 is defeated. Let's go now to Article number 12. Article number 12. The Board of Public Works moves that the town vote to authorize and allow the town and Department of Public Works to accept and combine American Rescue Plan Act, and that's ARPA, in parentheses, funding in conjunction with various other types of accessible funding to cover the cost of repairs to the town's water, wastewater, and/or drainage system. This is submitted by the Board of Public Works. I recognize the DPW Superintendent, Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Moderator, the purpose of this article is it's a housekeeping issue that requires town meeting to have a positive vote that enables DPW to commingle funds, the ARPA funds in particular, and in order to use town funds, the ARPA funds, and then any other water abatement trust funds or any other grants made available to the town would require a vote of town meeting to allow us to commingle those funds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reynolds. I go now to the advisory board. I recognize Mr. Ford.
The board voted unanimously to recommend passage of this article. The ARPA funds are the stimulus package Congress passed last year. Some of those funds have been made available for municipal waste, for water and sewer infrastructure. The town has determined, based on the advice of leading specialists in municipal use of ARPA funds and consistent with the best practices of other towns, that a town meeting vote is necessary to commingle ARPA funds with state and municipal funds. So for that reason, the advisory board supports approval.
All right. The select board was unanimous in its vote to support this article, as was the capital budget committee supported it. I don't know the vote they took. We'll go now to the floor. Are there any questions or any comments from either microphone? Seeing none, we'll go to a vote. This requires a majority vote for passage. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? It clearly passes by more than a majority. It is passed. Our next article is Article number 5, and on deck, what do we have? And on deck, we have the resolution article, which is 13, we will take, and the citizens petition article, which is 14. So let me just check first with our trusty town clerk. Are these the only three articles remaining on the warrant that we haven't addressed? 5, 13, and 14? Yes, she's satisfied. All right. Article 5. The Select Board and Capital Budget Committee move that the town vote to transfer the sum of $2,903,216 from certified free cash, $195,000 from certified water retained earnings, $225,000 from certified wastewater retained earnings, and $255,000 from solid waste retained earnings to be expended on the items in the chart printed under Article 5 of the special town meeting warrant. Now, this article was submitted by the Select Board and also by the Capital Budget Committee. In preparation for the town meeting, have held discussions with the town administrator. I'll allow him to make just a couple of general remarks and a couple general remarks by the Capital Budget Committee if they care to, Mr. Griffin, at this time. But then what we're going to do is we're going to take these individual items 1 through 32 in the same manner as we do the operating budget and the capital budget in the annual town meeting in the spring. Now, if you wish to question a particular line item, say the word question loud enough for me to hear it. Or you can say the word hold loud enough for me to hear it. We will then vote on the unquestioned items. Once they pass, then we will return to the items that were questioned. And if you question a particular line item, I expect you to be promptly at one of the microphones to explain why you asked that particular item to be questioned. After going through the items that were questions, we will then vote on them as well. There is going to be an amendment offered by the town administrator. Is that correct, Mr. Maresco?
Not Michael Moresco, 201 Arlington Street, not that I'm aware of.
No amendment. All right, then I'm misinformed. Okay, Mr. Maresco, I recognize you at this time. If you want to give some just brief general remarks before we march down that list, I'll hear you now.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. It's actually a selectman's article. There are a number of articles. I'll quickly touch upon the ones that I think people may have questions on. Select Board personnel, $40,000. As folks know, we had a staff person leave. We're in the process of hiring somebody. We're going to do cross-training, so we'll need the extra money to carry the extra body for a couple of months, as well as when people leave, we pay them for their unused time, both vacation, personal, etc. Professional services, those are professional contracts during the year. If I have to do a survey, things like that, we have to have cash readily available to do that. Police and fire.
Well, Mr. Maresco, we'll go down these, each one, and as we get to them, if you can explain what it is. I was just giving you an opportunity to address the article as a whole.
Okay, that's not how we had talked about doing it, but that's fine. I'm happy to answer any questions folks have.
No. With respect to each individual one, I'll hear you on each individual one as we reach it. I'm just giving you an opportunity now to address the article as a whole.
Okay,
if you
so
can.
as folks know, free cash article, it's a terrible word. There's no such thing as free cash. However, this was money that was appropriated through good economy of scale, good management. We had money left over. You should always have about 5% left over. That's sort of the norm. And that money's here. These are items and services that are needed. Had we not had the free cash, we would have had to borrow to accomplish some of these. Because we have the free cash, we're able to do that. And I think it makes perfect sense. Whatever we could do with free cash and not have to borrow is a savings for folks. Thank you.
All right. Does the Capital Budget Committee wish to be heard general remarks before we start, Mr. Griffin? We're all set. All right. Now, what we're going to do then is we're going to go down the items 1 through 32, and I'm going to allow Mr. Maresco to explain each item as we go down. All right, and after he finishes with one item, if there's no holds, we go on, we'll go to the second one, go to the third, go to the fourth. explain the process. You'll see the funding mechanism. It's coming from free cash, water retained earnings, wastewater retained earnings, or solid waste retained earnings, and you'll see the total. And the column on the right is transferred. That's referring to what, Mr. Maresco?
So that, Mr. Moderator, Michael Maresco, 201 Arlington Street, that ties out to the general ledger number.
All right. All right, so here we go then. Item number 1, Department 122, Select Board Personnel, $40,000 from free cash. Mr. Maresco.
As I had previously said, that's to cover when we're going to be having an extra person in the office for 2 months to do cross-training, so that will cover the salary on that person, as well as the payout to the person that's retiring.
All right. Item number 2, Department 145, Professional Services, $50,000. Mr. Maresco.
Professional services during the year, we're a big business. If we need to survey a piece of land, if we have to bring in a preservation planner, that is professional services. I enter into a contract with those folks, and we bring them in to do the necessary work.
All right. Item number 3, police. Excuse me? What is your point of order? Yeah, I explained that, yes. I didn't hear a hold. Okay, if you as we go down each item, if you have a hold or you say question, then we'll come back to that later. I have heard none up to this point. We're now on item 3, that's Department 210, police salary and wages, $150,000. Mr. Maresco.
Mr. Moderator, Michael Maresco, 201 Arlington Street. These funds will be used for overtime for all unfunded mandates, including additional training for under the Police Reform Act.
All right. Item number 4, Department 220, fire salary and wages, $150,000.
Mr. Moderator, this will be used to augment the overtime for the fire department so that during the day, 10 hours a day, 7 days a week through June 30th, we can run the third ambulance.
Item number 5, Department 220, fire salary and wages, $150,000. We just did that one. I'm sorry. Item number 5, 220, fire stipends and maintenance, $25,000.
Yes, Mr. Moderator. So this is a great initiative. 2 of the firefighters stepped forward. They're certified mechanics, and they're able to do repairs. So this is a stipend. So they each get a $10,000 stipend for doing the repairs and $5,000 towards supplies.
All right. Item number 6, Department 424, DPW, gas and diesel fuel, $150,000. Mr. Maresco.
Mr. Moderator, so this is $150,000 to augment our gas and diesel fuel costs. As folks know, we put the budget together over a year ago. Gas and diesel fuel was not at the high levels that it is. It's expected to continue to grow, and we need to make sure that we have money necessary to purchase the fuel for fire, for police, for ambulance, and especially for DPW plow trucks.
Item number 7, Department 660, Veterans Park, $7,775. Mr. Maresco.
So this is great money. I know this is a great project. Folks, go to Veterans Parks, one of the most beautiful areas here. This is additional dollars to maintain the park, weed the beds, buy fertilizer, etc.
Item number 8, Department 942, Utilities, Oil, Gas, and Electric, $75,000. Mr. Maresco.
Yes, the $75,000, as folks heard on the news, electric and gas going up astronomically. We have gas, natural gas, and we have electric in all of our buildings. So we need to make sure that we have enough money to pay our electric and our gas bills.
All right, item number 9, Department 122, CRS/PPI pamphlet, $3,200. Mr. Maresco.
So this is for those folks that have flood insurance. This in particular is a pamphlet that's designed by the CRS-PPI committee, and that pamphlet's used by our realtors when they're showing property that's around a ocean, a river, etc. And it's an important document, and it's a great tool.
Item number 10, Department 122, Hazard Mitigation Plan, $25,000. Mr. Maresco.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. We began the process, hazard mitigation. We finished the first part. We've recently hired Woods Hole as our consultant, and this is to identify those areas that are subject to flooding, how do we warn people? So the hazard mitigation plan looks at all of that, prepares a comprehensive plan so that we know where we have to evacuate people, how we have to reach those people and let them know that the water's coming and to be prepared.
Item number 11, Department 1, all right, there's, item number 10 is a question. Item number 11, Department 123, School Maintenance, $200,000, Mr. Maresco.
Yes, so the school maintenance, as you know, every fall town meeting, we set aside money that goes to maintenance. Fred Russell, who's our facilities director, him and his team do a great job of maintaining our buildings. As folks know, this goes all the way back to when we were building the new high school. One of the things that residents were upset about, they didn't think that we were properly maintaining our building. For years, articles would come forward about maintenance, and people always sort of put it on the back burner. They came to roost. We wanted to be ahead of that. We wanted to be responsive to the taxpayers, the people that pay the bills. So this is an investment each and every year into maintenance of our buildings.
All right, item number 12, question on number 11? Yes, please, say it loud, say it proud. Item number 12, Department 123, Town Maintenance, $200,000.
So this is the same as the one for the schools. We divide the money, as folks know. Fred reports and is under the direction of the superintendent and myself. He manages not only the town property on the town side, but the school property on the superintendent's side. So that's the same thing. This goes to maintenance.
All right, there's a question on number 12? All right. Number 13, Department 123, cleaning contract, $60,000.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So $60,000, we went to bid on a new cleaning contract. We had been using Apple for a number of years. When the bids came back in, Apple was at the lowest. The lowest was still $60,000 more than we were paying, but that additional $60,000, that's to clean Town Hall, the library, the police station, and the rec department.
All right, item number 14 is Department 168, Airport, FAA grant match, $350,000.
Yes, so the airport's undertaking a mandated program that goes all the way back to 2014, reconstruction of some runways. It's really to talk about the water that's coming off those runways. They need to dig that up, capture that water so that it's not going into the ground. Those projects, it's roughly about a $6.5 million project. The town match is $350,000. There's also some state match money in there. This is an important project because we want to make sure the environment's protected.
All right, question on number 14. Number 15, Department 171, tree cutting conservation land, $15,000. Mr. Maresco.
Mr. Moderator, this is to the town meeting. This is a unique project that we're starting. So as folks know, we have about 4,000 acres of conservation land, and the town has to be a good steward, just like we expect our residents and business to be. This past January 29th, we had that bad storm. A number of trees had come down on conservation property, put out power, put the neighbors in peril. So we're starting off with a small amount of money. This $15,000 would augment DPW employees to remove trees on conservation land on the weekends.
Item number 16, Department 210, police bulletproof vests, 20. There was a question on 15? Please, so that I can hear it. Thank you. Number 16, Department 210, police bulletproof vests, $26,241. Mr. Maresco.
So folks know bulletproof vests expire after 5 years. The chief and his team do a great job of making sure that our police officers have the best gear to be out there protecting us. So each vest is about $1,500 or $1,600. So this will get us the next group of bulletproof vests that we need for our police officers.
Item number 17, Department 295, Harbor Master boat equipment, $17,000. Mr. Maresco.
So when we got the new boat last year, like anything, the economy was really starting to be affected by rising prices on getting equipment. We were able to get the boat. Weren't able to put all the necessary equipment that the harbor master wanted on it, and this $17,000 will accommodate the equipment that needs to be on the new boat.
All right, item number 18, 295 Department, Harbor Master ramps and ice platform, $50,000. Mr. Maresco.
So this money, as folks know, anyone that's been down the pier, if we have any commercial fishermen here tonight, you'll see the shiny new ice machine. We're only one of 3 ports that have the ice machine. Mike DeMayo did great work and got a grant to get that ice machine. But like anyone else, we have to have the ice machine, has to be 4 feet above and has to be raised. So this money will go to making sure the town, like anyone else, has to follow the rules and regulations when it comes to that. Also pays from some ramp work that the harbor master had done at Ridge Road and Damon's Point.
Item number 19, Department 300, school generator and electrical work, $600,000. Mr. Maresco.
So this covers putting generators in 4 schools, Daniel Webster, Governor Winslow, Amesway, and South River. These generate what the larger portion of the money is not the cost of the generator. It's the electrical work that's required to make the schools ready to be able to, augment the power through a generator.
Question on number 19. Okay. Number 20, Department 411, Brant Rock final design, $120,000. Mr. Maresco.
This is the long-awaited bullnose design for Brant Rock Esplanade.
All right. Number 21, question on 20. Item 21, Department 411, DPW stormwater mapping, $40,000. Mr. Maresco.
So this is just what it says. It's mapping of stormwater through the pipes and identifying those pipes that the stormwater flows through.
Item number 22, Department 421, DPW crane, $95,000. Mr. Maresco.
So this is a big crane that will be put on the DPW building. It's on sliding reels so that in the winter when they need to put the sanders on the back of the big dump trucks, this lifts those up. If fire truck is going there to be serviced, they're quite heavy. Instead of using a hydraulic jack, the crane would lift up the fire truck to be serviced.
Item 23, Department 543, Veterans Wall Maintenance, $11,000.
So South River Park, we're very fortunate. We have that monument to everyone that resided in Marshfield, went off to war and served our country. And the $11,000 will go to correcting some names that are spelt wrong, adding a whole bunch of new names that should be on there, and general repair and maintenance of that monument.
All right, item 24, Department 543, item 24, yes. Department 610, library rug and asbestos removal, $448,000. Mr. Maresco.
So this is to replace the rug in the library. Anyone that's been a long time patron of the library knows that's the original rug. We hoped to try to replace it a few years ago. We ended up doing some studies to check on the tiles underneath. We found out there are a number of hot spots. There's asbestos there that needs to be removed and abated. So a large portion of those funds are for that project. And then, of course, the rug. We also have to hire a moving company. All the books have to be taken down. All the stacks have to be dismantled. Everything has to go in storage. They do the work. It's estimated to take about 4 to 6 weeks. It's going to be done if town meeting approves this. It will be done probably starting around the second week of December through the middle of January, worst case scenario to the end of January. That is what I'm told from Department Head Cindy Marcoux, that is the slowest time of the year to have this work done. Once the work's completed, the asbestos is removed, the rug is installed, the movers bring back the stacks and put the books back in there.
All right, we're now going to number 25, item 25, Department 610, library generator and electrical, $75,000.
Mr. Moderator, so as folks know, we got the new police station. The old police station, we had a generator. The generator was about 10 years old. It's probably another 10 or 15-year life expectancy on that generator. We moved it, relocated it at the library. We had to make some electrical modifications to the electrical panel and the ability to use the generator. We had to put a platform in and comply with other regulatory requirements. As folks know, during storms, especially on the storm on the 29th, most recently, we use that as a place for people to go to warm up and, more importantly, to charge their lifeline, their cell phones.
All right, we're now at item 26, Department 440-184 utility truck, $30,000. Mr. Moresco.
So this is a utility truck that DPW needs. Utility truck has all the shelves and compartments on the back end of it for all the necessary tools, and this is being paid for out of water retained earnings, and that's because it's related to water.
Item 27, Department 440, water mapping, $40,000. Mr. Moresco.
So this is a sort of a continuation. Earlier, we had DPW stormwater mapping, and this is water mapping that will be done for the water pipes, and this will be funded through water retained earnings.
Item 28, Department 440, water main dike road crossing, $125,000. Mr. Moresco.
So this is to replace the water main. This will be combined. I forget which number, but we had the Spring Street money left over. I think it was $151,000. That will be added to this to cover the cost of the water main replacement.
Item number 29, Department 5450, number 157 TV/camera truck, $125,000. Mr. Moresco.
Okay, I can tell you that the DPW is not getting into the film business. However, this truck, it's a very important job because I don't know how many people would crawl into a sewer pipe to check it out. So this is a camera truck. The camera goes in and evaluates the condition of the sewer pipe. They need to have this valuable piece of equipment. And this would be funded out of wastewater retained earnings.
Item number 30, Department 450, Ray Pack heater, $56,000.
So a Ray Pack heater goes in
I'm sorry, that's $55,000. My mistake. Go ahead, Mr. Moran.
That's correct. The $55,000, it's a heater, just as the name implies. This is something that would be in a garage. It hangs on the wall and blows hot air to heat the area.
Item 31, Department 450, process water pump, $45,000. Mr. Moresco.
This is also related to a water pump replacement. It's also being paid for out of wastewater because that's where the work is being done.
Item 32, this is Department 431, excavator, $255,000. Mr. Moresco.
So if you ever go to the transfer station, which I do see some people that I've seen there when I'm there, the excavator is used to move the trash around inside that building when you do the pay-as-you-throw or you go to the window to dump your trash. It's also used to load up the trailer trucks to cart our trash to some other state to get rid of it. The excavator that they have is on its last leg, and we've had that, the DPW's had to repair that a number of times, and it's necessary that the employees have that to be able to carry on the work that's done at our landfill.
Thank you, Mr. Moresco. All right, now, according to my count, the only items that were questioned were 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, 19, and 20. Is that correct? Everyone in agreement? Good. All right, so now what we're going to do is vote on all the items that were not questioned. This would require a majority vote? This would require a majority vote, so I think we can handle that with a show of hands. All in favor of the items that were not questioned in Article 5, please raise your hand. All those opposed? It's clearly by more than majority vote. In fact, it's actually unanimous, I would say. So now we're going to go back, and we're going to see the ones that are questioned. The first one that was questioned was item 10, Department 122, Hazard Mitigation Plan, $25,000. I recognize two people, one gentleman at the left mic and a lady at the right mic. All right, so let's go with the gentleman on the left mic. Name and address, sir.
Eric Kelly, Peterson Path. In regards to the hazard mitigation plan, is this going to incorporate any plans now or in the future to resand our beaches, expand our beaches, so it prevents wave topping on our seawalls and everything?
Mr. Maresco, does this have any relationship to that? Can you answer this question?
Mr. Moderator, no, it does not. Hazard mitigation is preparing and identifying those areas that would be impacted by the rising ocean, backup of the rivers and streams, how we notify those people, what we do. Do we look at zoning? So the study will look at, do we need to change our zoning? Do houses need to be up on stilts? Those are the types of things that the hazard mitigation plan looks at.
Do you have another question, Mr. Kelly?
Yes. Well, I mean, I see hazard mitigation. You're trying to mitigate a problem, so I would figure that you would try to incorporate other possible solutions to it, like expanding our beaches. And I think that should certainly be something in the plans. Or if not, then you need to do some of the hazard prevention, I guess, plan or something like that. On the school maintenance, we can link the school maintenance and the town maintenance together. I'm just wondering.
Well, now let's take them one at a time.
All right, I'm sorry about that, Mr. Moderator.
Yeah, we're still in item 10. Do you have anything further to
No,
say?
no further questions, just a
All right,
comment on that.
lady at the right microphone. You have nothing further to say? All right, so now we're going to go to item number 11, 123, school maintenance, $200,000. You wish to address that, Mr. Kelly?
Eric Kelly, Peterson Pass. So I was just wondering, is there any known upcoming maintenance things that are requiring this money that's, potentially going to pose a problem in the future in the schools?
Well, that's a pretty open question.
Mr. Moderator, I think
Can
I
you
can
answer
attempt,
that,
if
Mr.
I
Maresco?
understand the question, you want to know, are there projects that are coming up that require maintenance money to be expended on?
Well, I mean, it's $200,000 extra in the school maintenance, which I'm all for, but I'm just wondering if there are items that are triggering this.
All right, I'd recognize Mr. Miller, if you would, please, Assistant Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Tom Miller, 89 Ames Way. Mr. Kelly, our operating budget at one point had line items for extraordinary maintenance. That's all the unforeseen problems and issues that can come up with 7 large buildings. I work hand in hand with Fred Russell on several projects that come up during the year. The most notable one this year was the chiller system in this building. Obviously, we're still working on it to a certain extent, but it's all those items that over the course of 12 months that do arise.
I appreciate that, Mr.
Thank
Miller.
you.
Watch your clock, please. All right, any other questions, sir?
Nope, that'll be it.
All right, thank you. Now, there was a lady in front of you, Mr. Lynch. Do you intend to question number 11, ma'am? Yeah, no, I'm good. No. Mr. Lynch, you want to talk about number 11? School maintenance, 200,000?
Yes, 200,000, yes.
All right, sir. Name and address.
I'm here. Steve Lynch, 50 Central Street. So, we have a $100 million budget now and more that you get 2.5% increase every single year. And exponentially, that really makes a lot more money every single year. Plus, you get new growth. And we have all that new growth behind Roche Brothers, which is a gigantic windfall for this town. And so we should have large surpluses. And I don't have a problem with spending some of it for preventative maintenance, but I think it's only fair when you do a maintenance article like this, this should be separated into what, just 200 grand, we'll give it to you. We should have, capital expenditures, we're going to fix this, we're going to fix that. We should be able to vote individually on this money. I'm not going to vote against this article. I just think that that's a better way of doing it in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lynch. All right, we're now going to go to number 12. Item 12, Department 123, Town Maintenance, $200,000. Do you want to talk to this, Mr. Kelly?
Eric Kelly, Peterson Path. It's pretty much the same question. Anything that's triggering the 200,000 extra towards the maintenance?
Can you answer that question, Mr. Maresco?
Yeah, yes, Mr.
Please
Moderator.
do.
So, if anyone wants to see what the money's spent on, if you go to the website under Town Meeting, Fred Russell, our Facility Director, does a phenomenal job. You can look at where every dime has been spent on maintenance. And we've been doing it this way this is now our 6th year of doing this. So the money's there so that we can make, fix a broken door, fix tiles that come up, replace a urinal, fix a sink, put a papered towel dispenser in, caulk around the windows, the foundation. This is all preventative maintenance, and the list is long, and we keep chipping away at it, and I think we've been making some really good headway over the last half a dozen years.
All right. Any further questions there, Mr. Kelly, on town
Yes,
maintenance?
just to ask the town administrator, is it a list that is showing upcoming work and future work, or is it just a list of things that were accomplished?
Can you answer that, Mr. Marasco?
Oh, yes, I can, Mr. Moderator.
Would you please?
It's a list of everything that's been completed through, Fred, October 1st, through October 1st of 2022.
All right. Any further questions, Mr. Kelly?
Yes, just to reaffirm the question. So what you're saying is that you don't put together a list of things that need to be done?
I don't think that's what he said at all. He just said it was, the
Just-
list there is through October of what year, sir?
Things that just get done?
2022.
Yeah.
Is it possible to put a list together, Mr. Russell, to put a list together of future work that needs to be done?
Can you answer that question, Mr. Marasco?
So it's ongoing maintenance. I suppose we can. I mean, we can get you if you send me an email of what you're looking for, I'm happy to send you some information.
Well, I wasn't looking at it as personally myself, but as a town matter. I mean, if he knows he's got work that needs to be accomplished, especially if you're already putting a list together, I guess adding future work wouldn't be a bad thing. That way, at least let's put it this way, coming to the town meeting, oh, you want $200,000, all right, well, let's go on the website and see what Mr. Russell has planned going forward.
All right, well, let's do this. I think you made your point with respect to future projects. We're not going to get any further on that tonight with respect to this particular item. Do you have any more questions on item 12?
No, thank you.
Ma'am, do you wish to? No. All right. So next item that was questioned was item 14, 168, Airport FAA grant match, $350,000. Who questioned that? Who questioned that? This lady over here, please.
You can go first. Yana Lambert, Liberty Road. I wanted to question this because it's one of the higher ticket items on the whole thing, and it was my understanding that the Marshfield Municipal Airport is a private enterprise, so I guess...
That's not correct. The town
Okay.
owns the land and the town owns the airport. Shoreline Aviation manages the property. Or the operation of the airport, manages the operation, the day-to-day operation of the land, of the airport, excuse me.
Who makes the profit? Who benefits from the airport financially?
All right, let's, Mr.
But
Maresco.
in any case, what I want to know is,
well,
I guess my real question is, does this have anything to do with expanding the airport? Because if it does, I'm against it.
All right, my understanding is it does not have anything to do with expanding it, but I'll get you an answer. Mr. Maresco, can you answer that
Mr.
question?
Moderator, you're 1,000% correct. This is not to expand the runways, not to have larger planes come in there. This is to follow up on redesign grading changes regarding underground infrastructure improvements that were mandated by the town. It's additional deep sump catch basins, water quality structures, additional catch basin hoods, sediment forebays, and vegetative filter strips.
All right, ma'am, do you have another question?
Thank you. Yeah, who benefits financially from the airport if the town...
Can you
owns
answer
it?
that question, Mr. Marasco?
Well, the import is managed by a private firm. They make the money, they assume the cost, they hire the staff, and they run the operation. The town gets the benefit of having an airport that's there, that does emergency rescues. We have the Angels that fly out of there, and we do have some business people that have planes there, and it's kind of a unique feature in the town of Marshfield.
All right. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of. All right. Well, we'll take that tonight. It's getting late. All right. I'm going to go to this left microphone. Now, if anybody else is going to talk about item number 14, you need to get to the mics now, okay? So I see two people there, one person, Mr. Lynch, And I see 2 people here. That's it then. All right, Mr. Kelly, I'll recognize you.
Eric Kelly, Peterson Path. I want to thank the town administrator for sharing the lease agreement between the airport and the town in his response to me in regards to it. So it's to my understanding that the town collects under $50,000 a year in lease payments. And here we are spending $350,000 to help the airport improve itself, along with the $5.6 million in taxpayer money from the federal government. I don't understand why the airport isn't doing this themselves. I don't understand why the town is applying for these grants. I think the airport should be doing it on its own and spending the money. I mean, $350,000, and we're only collecting under $50,000 in lease money. Seems to be a definite imbalance there between what's favoring the taxpayers and what's favoring those who run and use the airport. I also realized that the leases for the airport have been upgraded multiple times even before their leases have run out, and that's another concern to me. So there's lots of concerns with this. I'm just making a suggestion. I think everybody here should vote no on this. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Lynch, right microphone.
Lynch, 50 Central Street. So what is the exact lease price that we collect from Shoreline Aviation to lease the entire airport, the property, the hangars that they rent to the private people, how they, their classes where they teach people, the landing fees, the fuel they sell? How much is the exact lease price for this multi-million-dollar operation that we've thrown millions into?
Okay.
So why are we subsidizing a private company?
Would you like me to get an answer to
Yes,
your question?
please.
All right, well, hang on just a minute then. Mr. Aresco, can you tell us, or is there someone from the Airport Commission that can tell us how much we get as a town in our individual lease payments or total lease payments on an annual basis with respect to the airport?
Mr. Moderator, we're actually looking up the lease online to give the exact dollar amount. I want to give town meeting the exact dollar amount. Along with what Shoreline Aviation pays in their lease with the town, the hangars are taxed as like a house. So the hangars, we receive additional revenue. The main terminal building's actually owned by the town, so that's not taxed.
But they receive rent for hangars on our property,
Hang
correct?
on, excuse me. Hang on just a moment, Mr. Lynch. Were you through, Mr. Moresco?
Yes, I'm just waiting to get the number. Ann's looking up the number in the lease right now.
All right. Did you have another question, Mr. Lynch?
I'm waiting for the answer, then I can go on from there.
All right, well, let's see if we can get that answer for you in terms of the lease amount payment, either on a monthly or an annual basis. All right.
I'll have to get back to you with the lease amount.
What you would say is less than 100?
Unless someone from the airport can answer it.
A ballpark.
Hang on, Mr. Lynch, please. Is there anyone here from the Airport Commission that can answer that question? Well, let's stand up and be recognized, please. Help us out.
Paul Van Cauwenberg, 372 Union Street.
Speak way up, please, Paul.
Paul Van Cauwenberg, 372 Union Street.
And you're a member of the Airport Commission?
Yes.
All right, can you answer that question?
No, I cannot answer that specific detail, but we'll look it up. I was not prepared to speak about the rents of the
All right,
part of the
we're not here to negotiate, excuse me, just a moment, everyone. We're not here, Mr. Lynch, to renegotiate the lease.
Well, somebody should.
Excuse me, Mr. Lynch. We're not here to renegotiate the lease or talk about the terms of the lease. I was courteous to get you that figure, all right? But this is a grant match of $350,000. That's all we're voting on. That's all we're going to vote on.
So the tax
Not whether
dollars,
the airport should
okay,
be
all right, so
expanded.
tax dollars are going to invest another $700,000 into their business. We're subsidizing a private company to make money.
Right.
You know, I agree that we have to. It's nice to have an airport. We have to have somebody run it, but I think that we should get a fair amount back when under $100,000, and they're getting, 10, how much money have we spent there the last 20 years? 10, $20 million, how much?
All right, we're not going there. It's beyond the scope of the article, please.
Mr. Moderator, I have the-
Excuse me. Hang on. Mr. Moresco, do you have something?
Mr. Moderator, I do. The lease payment's $47,000
A month or a year?
a year.
$47,000 a year. You have your answer, Mr. Lynch.
Okay,
All
so
right,
that tells the whole story.
All right. I'm going to recognize the lady behind you, please. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ann Pollard, 80 Genevieve Lane. I was involved in the management of the airport for over 32 years and have an extensive level of experience with the airport and the project that we're talking about this evening. Specifically, the number that Mr. Moresco did just cite is not the whole picture. The Shoreline Aviation also pays all of the staff at the airport. There are no town employees at the airport, so it doesn't give the full picture. Airport manager, all the operations staff are paid for by Shoreline Aviation. Secondly, this project was actually a DEP permitting requirement that was tied to the runway improvements back in 2014. It was a last-minute addition to the variance order of conditions. And the town is required to do the project that is going to improve the way wastewater and stormwater, rather, is treated at the airport as it comes off of the ramps and enters the environment. And actually, I credit citizens who participated in the permitting process for the runway project, who were very involved, Mr. Pasevich being one of them, very involved in the environmental review for the runway improvements back in 2014. His involvement and others' involvements resulted in a lot of additional conditions being added to that project that protected the environment, and this is one of them. It is going to be matched by 95% state and federal funds, and it's going to, does not touch the runway. Mr. Moresco misspoke slightly. Doesn't touch the runway, has very little impact on the taxiways immediately adjacent to the runway. It addresses the ramps and the taxi lanes surrounding the hangars at the airport. And it's going to process that runoff in a very different way and be a great benefit to the environment. And the town is obligated by this outstanding variance condition to complete this project. FAA has not had funding available to support the project until now. They have indicated that that funding should be available coming up in the next fiscal year. They're going to fund 90% of it. The state is going to fund another 5%, and this is a 5% local share for environmental improvements. Also will address a local share for a master plan update following all of the updates that have been done at the airport. That's a standard housekeeping thing that FAA and MassDOT require about every 20 years at the airport, and the airport's due for one. And there will also be opportunities for the public to participate in the permitting design and permitting portion of this project, which is in process now. So there's plenty of opportunities for input.
Thank you, Ms. Pollard. All right. Mr. Pasevich, I know. Mr. Finn, you got up late. Are you intending to address this?
It all depends on what Mr. Pasevich has to say.
That's a calculated risk. All right.
You want to go before me?
Okay, and ma'am, do you intend to talk about this again?
Now, I would just like to thank the last speaker for explaining in greater detail exactly what is going on there. So,
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Pasevich.
Joe Pasevich, Wilson Road, also known as the end of Runway 4. It's nice to get some compliments that some of my input had resulted in a positive effect. But at the time, boy, was I taking heat and every kind of insult and name in the book.
Excuse me, let's deal with the president, please.
I was blamed for costly.
Let's deal with the present number.
I also find it rather ironic that the article or the item is introduced by our town officials as being something beneficial for the environment. There is really nothing you could do. I'm in favor of stormwater runoff water management. That's all important stuff. But the real question here is what happens when we take federal grants? And federal grants that match local funds is not free money. It's out of your pocket. It's out of a different pocket. It comes from a variety of sources, tax appropriations, fees. Every time you get on a plane, you have to pay a fee, which goes into this giant slush fund that the airline lobbies use to do construction all around the country on airports. And this particular airport, I can tell you, it should not be there.
Well,
It just
this is
should
not
be
whether
there.
that's beyond the scope of the article, sir.
No, it's not, and I'll explain why.
Excuse me. It's beyond the scope of the article as to whether the airport should be there or not. It's there. Now,
Well,
if you want to talk about the $350,000, fine.
Well, here's the point, Mr. Moderator.
And Mr.
that
Kelly,
when-
I'm not recognizing
when
you. So
we-
you can sit down, sir, if you want to address this particular one. Thank you. Go ahead,
Here's
Mr.
the point.
Pasevich.
What you have to understand is that when you take a grant or a matching grant from the federal or state government, it obligates you to keep the airport open. Typically, it's for like another 20 years. Now, we all know this is going to pass. There's enough people here that have bought the story about how wonderful the airport is. But I can tell you that the airport was expanded in a way that creates more jet exhaust into the environment and into the neighbors' lungs. Jet exhaust is one of the
I know,
most
but you're still
horrible
addressing
things.
whether the airport should
But-
be there, sir. That's beyond the
Please
scope
stop.
of this.
I've only got 30 seconds, Mr. Moderator. Will you let me finish my thought and
If you-
stop interrupting me?
Excuse me. Turn
Be
his
decent.
excuse me. Turn his microphone on. Thank you, excuse me. Excuse me, sir. Sit down. Mr. Pasevich. Mr. Pasevich, please sit down. Mr. Pasevich. Please, would you please sit down, Mr. Pasevich? Mr. Pasevich. Excuse me. I'm sure we can have someone help you find a seat. Thank you. All right. Well, Mr. Finn, this will be the last speaker.
The town.
Name and address, please.
William Finn, 96 Dog Lane. The town is mandated by the DEP variance to complete this project. And the reason it has taken so long is because the DEP allowed the town to wait until money was available. Money is now available at the federal and state levels, it appears, and so the town is only paying 5% of the cost of the improvements, the design to ameliorate stormwater runoff, which is receiving no treatment now, and which will be treated as a result of this project.
Thank you very much. All right, now let's move on to the other thing that was, or the next one's the question that was item 15, Department 171, tree cutting conservation land, $15,000. Who questioned that? Name and address, please.
Yana Lambert, Liberty Road. I think that that is a paltry amount for maintaining the town-owned conservation land, which I think I heard was 4,000 acres. I'm not exactly sure, I don't remember the number, but I live across from one of those. There's at least, I don't know, 3 or 4 acres of conservation land in my neighborhood. You know, I've commented to people in my neighborhood, like the piss poor, job that's being done with maintaining this conservation land. People from DPW came by and trimmed a few branches that were hanging over the sidewalk. However, the sidewalk is completely impassable because of the overgrowth from the conservation land onto the sidewalk. DPW needs more money to maintain these lands. And, you know, if we're going to own conservation lands, we should own the responsibility to take care of them.
Thank you
Am I
very
still
much.
here?
Yes, I'm sure they're very encouraged to hear that you're in favor of
I'd
additional
like
funding.
more money. I don't know how
but-
to put more money in there,
Right,
but
but
it needs more
they're
money.
only asking-
15,000 is nothing.
All right, but they're only asking for $15,000. Perhaps you
asking
can
for
work
more.
with. I understand, but perhaps you could work with them, given your interest, and we'll see this again in an article for the annual town meeting in the spring. All right, Mr. Kelly, did you wish to address number 15?
I do it, since you bring it up. Eric Kelly, Piece of Pat. If I heard it correctly, this is just for weekend work. Why is it just, if I heard that correctly, why is it just being dedicated for the weekends?
Who am I going to call for? Mr. Moresco, can you answer that?
So this is additional work that we're asking the DPW to do. You know, I'm not going to speak for the DPW. If they can do some of it during their regular normal route, then we'll get additional work out of the 15,000. But this was, as the previous speaker mentioned, this is a big issue town-wide. We've identified some money. We're working cooperatively with the DPW, and we'll see how it works out with the 15,000. And hopefully we'll come back and ask town meeting to support a larger amount of money, because there are hundreds of trees that are going to need to be addressed.
All right, does that answer your question, sir?
I'm appreciative that the town administrator and the board of selectmen are recognizing the issue. I hope when he says that they're trying to address the issue in the town, I hope it's just not conservation land, but I hope it's throughout the town itself.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. Anything further?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. We're going now to item 19, 300 department, school generator and electrical work, $600,000. Who questioned that? Who questioned that? Mr. Kelly.
Eric Kelly, Piece of Pat. In the school committee meeting, in the discussion of this, I heard two conflicting stories, I guess you could say, from the superintendent and Tom Miller. Are the schools going to be able to be open during a power outage? Because I believe at the end of this discussion, Tom Miller says that these generators wouldn't power everything in the building. So I want some further explanation in regards to this, please.
All right, can we get a little bit of further explanation with respect to these school generators? Either, I recognize Mr. Granatino, superintendent.
Thank you. It would give us temporary lighting and heating in the buildings. It's not going to be 100% lighting like the building is right now. And it might be able to allow us to function under certain circumstances. Sometimes we've had power go out in the middle of the day. And if the generator was running, we could finish the school day. But if we had a large storm and there was a major power outage and we knew we were going to go in and start the day not in full power, we probably would not be able to open school, but we'd be able to keep some of the functions going on in the building, the heating going on, the refrigeration. We've had issues in the past at schools that don't have generators, that everything in the refrigerator or freezer, if we're not able to get it out and move it to another school that has a generator, we lose it, and that could be thousands of dollars.
All right, that's what I was looking for clarity on, because
Excuse
school
me.
committee doesn't, sorry about that.
You have a question?
I just want to make, I appreciate that clarification just due to the fact that we can't have a cross communication between, in the school committee meeting. So I know you said that power outage of schools would be able to open, and then Tom Miller said that there was certain parts of the building that wouldn't be powered, so there was confusion there. So I appreciate you clarifying that. Okay. So what you're saying is that even if we have a power outage during a snowstorm, whatever, you may not be able to open the schools, even though it was a long-term power outage and everything was cleared and all that.
Right,
Is that what you're saying?
and we're a little better equipped at the middle school and high school, but this is obviously focused on the elementary schools.
All right, any further questions?
No, that's it. I appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much. All right, Mr. Lynch, are you questioning this particular item?
Yes.
All right, name and address, please.
Steve Lynch, 50 Central Street. Not to belabor this point, but real quickly, when you get the bids on this contract, so say a bid comes in $20,000 less, and it's a Generac generator, and one comes in $20,000 over that bid, and it's a Caterpillar generator, how are you going to decide which one you're going to take? Because I'm not in favor of consultants, spending gigantic money on consultants. I'd be glad to consult you on this for free. So in a situation like that, like, you'd be doing a disservice to the town, a disservice to take the Generac contract for $20,000 less over a Caterpillar generator. So someone needs to know what's going on when you buy these.
All right, I appreciate your comment, sir, thank you.
And one more question to the moderator.
Yes, sir.
Actually, two, okay? One is, are you going to vote these separately, all the ones that were questioned?
I intended to vote them all together. No one asked me to vote them separately.
Well, I think they should be voted separately, since I believe the airport article was pretty contentious about the price that we're letting them rent that airport for.
All right,
And
well-
secondly, I have just a
Oh, wait a
comment.
minute, wait,
Okay,
just
okay.
a minute, please.
Yeah.
All right. With respect to the airport item, number 14, I agree with you. Let's have a separate vote on that. The rest are going in a lump sum together.
And then just an observation, not to be disrespectful to you, but if you just let Joe finish his 30 seconds left, it would have been a lot less confrontational and it would have been done quicker. Thank you.
All right. He's fortunate I didn't have him escorted from the meeting. All right. So, anyone else on the school generator number 19? If not, we're on to 20. Brant Rock final design, $120,000. Question, Mr. Kelly.
Eric Kelly, Peterson Path. As much as I try to follow everything that's going on in town, this one I really haven't known about. So what is the Brant Rock final design?
All right, Mr. Moresco, can you answer that?
I'm going to defer to DPW to the superintendent, Tom Reynolds.
Recognize the superintendent, Mr. Reynolds of the DPW.
Mr. Moderator, the Brant Rock project is a pedestrian traffic safety project. We're building sidewalks, we're building a bullnose, which is, instead of a roundabout, we're building a bullnose to delineate the flow of traffic. There'll be islands on the high road, there'll be islands on Island Street that will, and parking will be changed a little bit.
Did that answer your question, Mr. Kelly?
Do we not have any design maps to show for?
This is for the design.
This is to create the map you
This is to
want, I
create
think.
it. All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, this is what we're going to do then. We are going now to vote on the items that were questioned with the exception of 14. So what we're going to do is we're going to vote on 10, 11, 12, 15, 19, and 20. All right, everyone understand? And then we'll take a separate vote on 14, which was the airport line item. All right, majority vote? Majority vote. All in favor of all of the ones that were questioned with the exception of number 14, raise your hand. All those opposed? They clearly passed by more than the majority. Now we're going to take a separate vote on number 14, which was the airport grant match of $350,000. To pass, it's same majority is required. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Clearly passes by more than a majority. Thank you very much. What's the next article? What is the point of order? Were there 10 people standing? Mr. Pasevich, you saw the vote. Are you trying to, excuse me, Mr. Pasevich, let me finish. Excuse me, Mr. Pasevich, you saw the vote. Are you saying it's absolutely necessary that we go to a standing vote at this point? And this is certainly not instituted for purposes of delay. All right, so let's do this. It's now 10:09. All right, if 10 people were standing, I didn't see 10, but if 10 people were standing, we'll go to excuse me, please. Come on. We'll go to a standing vote. All right? If 10 people were standing. So let's see, are there 10 people standing that would like to go to a standing vote on number the airport article. Excuse me. No, sir. Thank you. 7, my mistake. Thank you. 7 people standing. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right? Oh, 9. I'm sorry, 9. I didn't mean to miss you, ma'am. All right, we're going to go to a standing vote then. All right, so all those in favor of number 14, the airport grant match, please stand. All right, everybody standing, counters, have you counted? All right. If you want to be counted, you got to get in your section and not be changing, all right? Can't run from section to section. All right, everyone counted? All right, section A. This is for the article. A is 14. Section B. Say again? 48. 28. You have to say it loud, thanks. Section C. 14. Section D. 34. Section E, 6. All right. And, Madam Clerk, the front of the room, 10. All right. Okay, so you have your total there of 106. We're going now, votes against the airport line item. Section A. Stand up and be counted. All right, has everyone been counted to their satisfaction? Yes? Okay. Section A, 2. Section B, 4. Section C, 1. Section D, 6. Section E, 2. The front of the room? 0. All right, this required a majority vote, and it passes by 106 to 16. Is that 16 or 15? 106 to 15. Did you get that? Okay. All right. So that passed, and now it is 10:13. Our rules say that you not take up any new business after 10:30. We only have 2 items left. We have the citizens petition number 13, and we have citizen petition article number 14. And 13 is actually a resolution that's going to take about 5 minutes. Yes. Yes. No, I don't think so. I don't. It's all inclusive. We have to vote a total. Yeah. We voted the first part, and then we just voted the... No, because the total out the same amount. Same amount. Okay, thanks, Keith. In my opinion. I'll defer to the town clerk. No. All right, so I would ask then to suspend rules, majority vote or 2/3? All right, I would ask then for a show of hands by majority vote that we suspend the rules if we run past 10:30 so we can finish tonight. All in favor? All opposed? It's clearly more than a majority. Let's go now to the 13, please. I'm sorry, what? 2/3. Wait a minute, we'll do that one more time. To suspend the rules so that we can take 13 and 14, and then end tonight, I've just been informed it's a 2/3 vote. All in favor, raise your hands of suspending the rules. All those opposed, it's clearly more than 2/3. Good? All right. So now we're going to go to 13. Now, with respect to 13, it's entitled Citizens Petition for Fall 2022 Marshfield Town Meeting. And then it says resolution to call for the United States to pull back from the brink and prevent nuclear war, an existential threat to the future of humanity and the planet. I treat this, and we're treating this for purposes of this meeting, as a resolution, all right, and nothing more than that. I am not going to read the whereas clauses. They will be included as written. I am going to read the be it resolved clauses starting on page 8 of the warrant. Be it resolved that the town of Marshfield, Massachusetts, acting through its open town meeting, calls upon our federal leaders and our nation to make nuclear disarmament the centerpiece of U.S. national security policy and to work toward the goal of signing the treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons. Be it further resolved that town meeting calls upon our federal leaders and our nation to spearhead a global effort to prevent nuclear war by actively pursuing a verifiable agreement among nuclear-armed states to eliminate their nuclear arsenals, renouncing the option of using nuclear weapons first, ending the president's sole unchecked authority to launch a nuclear strike, taking U.S. nuclear weapons off hair trigger alert, canceling all plans to add weapons to the U.S. nuclear arsenal that would make it more likely that leaders will initiate nuclear war, and be it further resolved that town meeting requests that the town clerk send a copy of the resolution adopted by town meeting to our U.S. congressional representatives, including Representative William R. Keating, Patrick J. Kearney, Representative Josh S. Cutler, State Senator Patrick M. O'Connor, U.S. Senator Elizabeth Warren, U.S. Senator Edward J. Markey, and President Joseph R. Biden, Jr. This is a petition article of Anna Baker. I recognize her for 5 minutes. Ms. Baker.
Hi, and thank you for staying this late into the night. Article 13 is a resolution created by a citizens petition that was signed by 131 Marshfield residents. Some of them were you. The point of it is to show the town of Marshfield's support for a broader campaign entitled Back from the Brink, which calls upon federal leaders to take immediate steps to prevent nuclear war. It does not cost the town any money. It's unfortunate that in Marshfield, our town meeting rules stipulate that town resolutions are non-debatable. Back from the Brink resolutions have already been passed in 18 towns across Massachusetts, and in many of them, there was an open discussion which gave meeting members a chance to ask questions. Over the last 30 years, we have been able to get away with denying the fact that the threat from nuclear weapons exists. But the escalating crisis surrounding Ukraine has made it clear that the risk of nuclear war is quite real. The moral and ethical case for disarmament is evident, as is the fiscal stewardship case. I want to make it clear that this resolution does not call for the U.S. to disarm unilaterally. Rather, it calls for the U.S. to lead an international effort to achieve universal nuclear disarmament. We may not succeed, but if we don't, it's only a matter of time before nuclear weapons are used. We have to eliminate them before they eliminate us. Boston is a major U.S. city. As the target of a nuclear strike, local communities are absolutely entitled to a voice in this conversation. Part of our responsibility is to amplify the voice of our citizens. Town meeting is our opportunity to do so. This resolution has the support of State Senator Patrick O'Connor, Representative Patrick Kearney, and Representative Josh Cutler. In their words, here's why they support it. Marshfield State Senator Patrick O'Connor says, "When you really look at the threat nuclear weapons pose for the entire world, it becomes increasingly clear that we need to work towards solutions. For nuclear weapons and the threat of nuclear war to continue to be commonplace in our world is unacceptable. I am proud to have supported legislation that would highlight the critical risks we face related to nuclear war and the use of nuclear weapons. The Back from the Brink resolution brings awareness to this serious issue and provides an alternative to the status quo of just waiting for catastrophe." And these are the words of Marshfield State Representative Patrick Kearney. In these present times, nuclear threats put millions of people on the planet at risk more than ever. Working together at the local community level to educate each other both on the impact of nuclear war and on the actions we can take to encourage steps to end nuclear threats will help leaders and officials advance practical, just policies to steer the world away from responding to conflict. We know the harms of nuclear war are irreversible. And lastly, Marshfield's new state representative, Josh Cutler, says, "I applaud Marshfield resident Anna Lanakis Baker for her grassroots effort to address the threat of nuclear war. This global threat is also a local one, and through this resolution, our residents and officials can send the message that our stance against nuclear warfare is unequivocal." By adopting this resolution, Marshfield will be joining 18 other towns across Massachusetts who have adopted resolutions advocating for Back from the Brink's set of common sense policy solutions to prevent nuclear war. These towns include Amherst, Boston, Brookline, Cambridge, Cummington, Eastham, Goshen, Leverett, Needham, Newton, Northampton, Plainville, Somerville, Springville, Wendell, Williamsburg, Windsor, and Worcester. Holyoke is voting on it tomorrow. Back from the Brink resolutions have also passed in 60 municipalities across the country, including Chicago, Baltimore, Salt Lake City, and Washington, D.C., to name only a few, in addition to 7 state legislative bodies. The Boston City Council also passed a Back from the Brink resolution. A Back from the Brink resolution was filed at the Massachusetts state level and was co-sponsored by our very own Senator Patrick O'Connor and across the aisle, but it didn't make it out of committee last session. My hope is that our town will take a stand and add our voice to the growing concerns across the state and country. 30 years ago, there were over 70,000 nuclear weapons on the planet. Today, about 13,000 remain. We know how to take them apart, and we know how to get rid of them. By 2045, the 9 nuclear-armed states, including the U.S., could eliminate all of them before the bomb turns 100. No longer can we accept that nuclear weapons can wipe out our future. No longer can we exist in the presence of 13,000 nuclear warheads. No longer can we afford to spend exorbitant amounts of tax dollars fueling these weapons of mass destruction, and no longer should we. For more information on the campaign, you can visit preventnuclearwar.org. I also have flyers that I'll put on the table on your way out if you'd like to get involved in trying to help this go further. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Baker. Now, moderator's rule number 15 clearly states that a resolution is non-debatable, non-binding motion on any matter calling for a consensus of the town meeting. This resolution was in writing, was submitted to the moderator, to the town council, and to you in writing, and I thank her for that. And the resolutions are typically taken up as the last order of business at town meeting. If you vote, this requires a majority vote, there's no debate. If you vote in favor of this resolution, the select board, within 30 days after the town meeting, shall discuss in open session the resolution passed at that meeting, and you'll see the bylaw that's cited there. I can tell you that the advisory board, I believe, Mr. Scollins, no vote taken. All right, there's no vote taken by the advisory board with respect to this. With respect to the select board, there's no vote taken by the select board. I do know that the capital budget committee voted no with respect to this. So we're going to go to a vote for passage of this non-binding resolution. It requires a majority. All those in favor, raise your hand. All those opposed? Let's do it one more time. All those in favor, raise your hands, please, everybody. All those opposed? I say the resolution passes. All right. Now on to the last article, is that correct, Madam Clerk? Number 14, this is a citizens petition article. It is, I'll read the following. Carrie Harrison moves that the town vote to approve Article 14 as set forth in the special town meeting warrant. It's submitted by Carrie Harrison. I recognize Carrie Harrison.
How much time do I get, please?
You will have 5 minutes for your presentation. I just need your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Okay. Carrie Harrison, 29 Billings Road. Good evening, and again, thank you for staying till the very end. There is a large group of veterans here today that really appreciate that
ma'am,
you are here.
Could you move closer to the mic so that we can all hear you?
Sure.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Two of the veterans are walking down to join me by my side here tonight. These veterans took a blighted area in the intersection of Plymouth Ave and Route 139 at Ocean Street and transformed it into a colorful gateway to the Fieldston Ocean Bluff and Brant Rock area of Marshfield. And anyone who lives at that end of town or travels by this spot has seen the remarkable change. No longer do your eyes focus on parking lots, broken fences, boats, trailers, and trash. Rather, these memorial gardens sit as a proud, welcoming symbol of the residents who call this area home. What you may not know is that the effort has been spearheaded by Marshfield veterans, veterans who are proudly serving their country in the past and now serving their community. Spearheaded by the Marshfield AMVETS, Ned Egan Post number 1996, and Commander Jimmy Bennett with Roger Egan, who are both here with me today, this parcel honors all veterans and Roger's brother, Ned Egan, who died in Vietnam while still a teenager. Over the last 4 years, many of you here tonight have stopped, tooted your horn, or yelled hello to the guy in the orange vest who cares for that property. That's my dad, Tom Langdon. He's here tonight, another proud veteran, and I am so grateful for all the work that he has done to beautify this area. Every day he goes to the garden. In the early days, he filled his old Honda Odyssey with buckets of water to be sure the flowers took root. And eventually the town gave him access to the water from the hydrant that's there now. We are all very grateful for that. He appreciates it, and the AMVETs support that through a water meter. I want to emphasize that these gardens are the result of 100% volunteer efforts. The time, the money, flower donations, all of that is free to the town. The AMVETs installed an American flag and granite benches inscribed with veterans' names. The U.S. Marine Colonel David Hazel donated the post and rail fence and the welcome sign. At the holidays, volunteers strung decorations. Eric Vasey and the Kiwanis Club donated a Christmas tree. And every night on his way home from work, Dave Camilio turned on a generator to light up the space. All of this has been done at zero cost to the town. Now, we just went through a whole number of lists, I think there were 32, where we allocated free money to a lot of other important causes in the town. We are not asking for 1 penny for this area of town. We are just asking for water. And I want you to think about that. All of this is at no cost. We should be celebrating the effort of these men. Okay? We should be encouraging more citizens to engage in beautifying our neighborhoods. And we should take pride in the work that they have done and leave egos at home. But why are we discussing this tonight? Why did we need a citizens petition? Why did we need to gather 130 plus signatures? I'll tell you why. Because the DPW voted by a vote of 2-1 to deny a permit that would put a free irrigation system in. Free! That would prevent my 79-year-old dad from going over there and standing with a hose every single day to beautify that area. They denied it. And you know why they denied it? Because they said it would set a precedent. Okay? Think about that, a precedent. Really? Really? A precedent that rewards volunteers. A precedent that has no cost to the town. And a precedent I want to share with you that already exists. There are already 2 other locations in our town that have irrigation systems on what they call and adopt an island. But here we are, okay? The DPW board, led by Dave Carrier, has continuously placed barriers in the progress of this, okay? Continuously. And he's forced this group of veterans and all of us to stay here late into the night, and I appreciate it all, right? But honestly, over a sprinkler. What a waste of your time and mine and everyone else's here. But
Ms. Harrison, your time has expired. Expiring.
I have someone else who wants to finish. Do you mind finishing for me, please? We are right here. Thank you. It's just a couple minutes more.
Residents need to remind them that this is our town and we're proud of it. We honor our veterans, we support our volunteers, and we want to be inclusive, not divisive. Truly elected leader would create solutions and a path forward, not just say no and place barriers in progress. I encourage DPW board to learn from this experience, be part of the solution, be open-minded in the future, and not fearful of change. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. All right. Now, this is an article. We are going to have debate with respect to it. It requires a majority vote for passage. Unfortunately, Mr. Galvin could not be here tonight, and on the note I was given, he had 2 words. It was of dubious legality, but he's really not here to explain why, and I can't offer you any more in that. Can you talk to that? All right, so let's start first. Let's start first with hearing from Anthony Riley, Town Council, as to whether or not there's issues with the legality of this particular article. I recognize you. Yeah, come on.
Hi, folks. So the town meeting can, Anthony Riley. I work at the town council's office. I do not live in town. Sure. My name is Anthony Riley. I'm from the town council's office. I do not live in town, but we represent the town. So the town meeting can vote to show its approval of this article. The town meeting, as the legislative body of the town, cannot compel the DPW to accept this project. The DPW has care and custody of all the streets and ways in towns, and a project like this would fall under their jurisdiction. So while the town meeting can vote and show its approval for this project, a positive vote from town meeting cannot override the DPW's previous vote or compel them to do this in the future. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear for everyone before voting on this article.
Thank you. I would like now to recognize Mr. Carrier from DPW Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. David Carrier, 34 Outlook Road, Marshfield. And dropping stuff left and right. Don't worry, leave it alone. Okay. This is not just an arbitrary item. Under town water bylaw and town code, which is now called 285-16, there are restricted water uses. This was amended April 24th of 2017 by ATM Article 10. And this flows out of the Department of Environmental Protection and its efforts to protect water conservation. A declaration of a state of water supply conservation shall include one or more of the following restrictions, conditions, requirements, etc. The last one on the list, E, automatic irrigation sprinkler use. The use of automatic sprinklers is prohibited. Part of the reason both myself and Mr. Shaughnessy chose to vote no on this subject is because of that particular article. And the more of these we have, the more secondary kind of enforcement is loaded onto the water department during those water emergencies or conservation restrictions that occur. Now, when that happens, we're supposed to go out and shut everything off anyway. This is one island that actually has a hose and a connection simply because there was a hydrant there, okay? That was proof of the good old word about no good deed goes unpunished, okay? The water supervisor and the superintendent granted permission for this line, And now we're back and we're looking at the possibility of having an automated irrigation system. I have observed watering going on inside the prohibited hours during the last, heat wave and the, lack of water that we've been experiencing. Even to the point where I watched somebody washing off the concrete abutments. This is under the control of the Board of Public Works. And the position for us is water conservation. Part of what we have as an obligation is to protect the volume of water that we have available to ourselves for the more important uses that it have, which are the domestic and commercial uses that the town does. Okay, I, do admire the work that has been done there. Okay, our Adopt an Island program, which we have out there, specifically does not have water connections and that. That's entirely up to the people that want to volunteer and take that. We are not trying to discourage that. What we are trying to do here is make sure that an automated irrigation system is not installed. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carrier. Since this was a 2-to-1 vote in your board, I see Mr. Cusick standing at the rear microphone. Do you wish to give a minority report, Mr. Cusick? Name and address, please, and also your position.
John Cusick, I'm the Vice Chair of the Board of Public Works. Live at 12 Waterman Ave.
You have to speak up, Mr. Cusick. Really speak up.
I voted for this, to vote for the irrigation for no charge to the town. And I just heard the Assistant Counsel come up with something that the Board of Public Works can vote not to allow irrigation. So I'm going to read from the charter. And from the charter, powers and duty in general. The Board of Public Works elected under Section 323 shall be responsible for organizing and administrating the following functions: construction and maintenance, highway, water, sewer, tree care, parks, including landscaping, ground maintenance, property, and other public works related as may, now I'll say this, from time to time be vested in it through general laws, this charter, bylaw, or vote at town meeting. You have the authority to overrule the 2-to-1 vote and allow this irrigation. Here it is in the charter. You have the power. Town meeting rules.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cusick. At this time, I'm going to announce that, I think I'm correct, Mr. Scollins, the advisory board take a position with respect to this article?
Yes, we did. So at the joint meeting, we were told there was a bylaw that would restrict this. The bylaw was sent to me that I don't really, I'm not a lawyer, so, but obviously we can do a he said, she said here. The town council is not here. So we thought it was a great idea, but perhaps there should be a better policy that we could vote on with the water. The paying for the water is probably not going to be a whole lot, but those pipes have to be blown out like everyone that has a sprinkler system in their yard knows. So I think there's some other things. I love the people that own the islands or take care of the islands have to pay for everything. That's fantastic. I just think that there just needs to be a more of a policy, like kick this can down the road to the next town meeting, just more buttoned up. So the advisory board recommend to not approve this article by a vote of 6-0.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Maresco, did the select board take a position with respect to this article?
The select board, as ruled, do not vote on private petition articles.
All right, thank you very much. I have been informed that the Capital Budget Committee voted no with respect to this particular article. All right, we're now going to go to the floor. All right, and I see people lining up. It's late, and if you want to talk with respect to this article, please get in line. Now, am I correct that every single person that's leaning against this rail intends to talk? Is that correct? All right, by my count, that's probably pretty close to 10 to 12 people. Okay, and I would just caution you, We'll all try to be patient, but please, we need new information each time. If what you're doing is merely repeating what the person said in front of you, you certainly have your vote to vote in favor of the article if you're in favor, or against it if you're opposed to it. This gentleman's been very patient. He's standing at the front microphone. I recognize this particular gentleman, and I'm not going to recognize anyone further getting in line. That's it, all right? Go ahead, sir.
Martin Francis, Bay Avenue. Number one, I support the article 100%. The gentleman in red that just stated that the device has to be blown out, yes, it does, but the veterans are paying for that. The town is paying zero. This is a freebie. Why do you not vote for freebies? This is for the veterans. Veterans in this country died for things like this. It's a disgrace not to support it. Please support it.
All right, thank you very much, sir. All right. Okay. Mr. Kelly.
Eric Kelly, Peterson Path. I am absolutely 100% in favor of this article. It's sad that it had to get to this point. You know, in the past Board of Public Works meetings, Dave Carrier mentioned that he's concerned about water conservation. But, you know, they have no problem running the sprinklers to water the fields. And there's a possible new development coming in town that they're going to spend $250,000 for a well at Rockwood Roads. And I don't believe Mr. Carrier is opposed to that. So, I mean, a small 20 by 20 island, they're crying about that, but they don't say anything about the watering of the ball fields or this new field or this new well being possibly built. It perplexes me. I mean, this whole area, what's more efficient, watering by a hose or watering by a sprinkler? And the whole thing is that you can put controls on the sprinkler. So this is pretty sad it got to this point, and I hope everybody here supports this article.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kelly. The next person in line.
Hi, Bonnie McCarthy.
Speak way up so we can hear.
Bonnie McCarthy, 83 Donald Road.
Thank you.
Capital Budget Committee. I just wanted to clarify, Mr. Moderator, that the Capital Budget Committee had a no vote. We didn't take a vote on this.
You did not vote?
We did not vote on this. So
I
didn't
was
want you to-
misinformed. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so the Capital Budget Committee did not vote with respect to this particular article, and I was in error when I told you that it had. Thank you. Next lady, please.
Hi, my name's Amy Egan Cook, 90 Surf Ave. I just want to say that I'm here in support of this article. Honestly, I think it should be the easiest vote that we have tonight. Doesn't cost the town anything. It's a beautiful island. These Marshfield veterans, local guys that grew up here, are out there every day taking care of this island. Not only is it just an island, it's a place that they have memory benches for other veterans that grew up around here that have passed away. It really is an easy vote. And just to clarify, it's not going to cost the town anything. The irrigation system is being donated. The water will be paid for. It will all be monitored. We want to work with the town to get this done. We want to partner with them. We don't want it to, be tenuous at all. So support this and support your local veterans.
Thank you very much, ma'am. The next lady, please.
Hello. Claire Langdon, 22 Billings Road. I can't believe we're standing here before town meeting. It is my husband that takes care of this island 7 days a week. He is over there. He has planted and transplanted flowers there. For any one of you who haven't seen it, it is absolutely beautiful. It's a memorial to the veterans. I can't even imagine, but you will imagine this when I tell you. We had 2 meetings with Mr. Carrier, and the first one, they voted it down. The second one I went to, and I stood up to speak at the beginning of the meeting, and he said, "We've already taken our vote." The answer is no, just like we told you before. The answer is no. I said, is this a democratic process? Is this what you call a democratic process? It's egos. That's what it is here. The garden is beautiful. It is no cost to the town. Nothing. You all talked tonight about free money. This is really, quote, free money. It's labor intensive. He doesn't mind doing it. People love it. They've dropped donations at our home. They just love the island, the sign, and it's all about the veterans. So I ask you tonight to put your egos aside and vote for something positive in this time. For these veterans that were killed in Vietnam and Afghanistan, come on, where's your heads? Please vote positive.
Thank you very much.
I don't see any plastic bags. Joe Pasevich, Wilson Road. Through the night with the light from above.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. All right, there are two remaining speakers. I see Mr. Pasevich and I see Miss. Did you just stand up there?
No, she's been there all along.
We're on the honor system now. Yeah, she's behind. Okay, if you say so. All right. All right, Mr. Pasevich.
Yeah. Are we all under arrest now?
Excuse me?
Are we all under arrest now?
Mr. Pasevich.
Anyway, so my comment is this. Has a meter in it now, and the meter is probably going to be the best way to actually regulate the amount of water that gets used at this island. And their use of the meter and the use of the water can be enforced by the DPW. I see it all the time. I see people running their sprinklers all over town all the time, and, you know, it can be enforced. So the best thing for this island is to have an automatic system put in. Then they will actually probably save water. And I keep hearing people say that this is not costing the town anything. Well, that's wrong. It's making the town money because those people are paying for that water. They're being billed and they're paying for the water, so it's a positive thing for the town. And the other part of this article, let's not lose track of that, is that it votes to name the island the Veterans Memorial Gardens. Let's not forget that part too. So I hope we have a really strong positive vote for this. Thank you.
Mr. Finn, you were next in line, I believe. Are you going to defer to the?
Let this lady go first.
All right, we'll defer to the young lady to your immediate right. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Madeline Daly. I live on Bradford Street. First and foremost, I want to bring attention to that I'm part of the Brant Rock Village Association, Inc., and one of our goals is to bring beautification to the area. This island is absolutely gorgeous. To lose it and let it go without the irrigation system it needs when these people are in need right now of that support, you know, it would go against our goals of making the area more beautiful. And then on another note, I'm part of the Boston's Veterans Parade, and this year the theme is we salute our veterans. My question to you is, do you salute your veterans, your hometown veterans? Do you salute them?
I take that as a rhetorical question.
Okay.
It doesn't require an
answer.
answer.
You don't have to answer it,
Thank you.
but just take it home with you. Thank you. I support the island.
Thank you very
for
much.
Irrigation.
All right, Mr. Finn, last speaker. You have the last word.
Mr. Shaughnessy.
Mr. Shaughnessy,
My
I'm
name was,
sorry. Excuse me.
My name was one of the two votes that voted against this.
Yeah,
so
all
I'm
right.
the last one to speak here. And
Sorry for the
I'm going to
misidentification.
Robert Shaughnessy, 231 Hampstead Way. and I'm standing up here to explain why I voted against this with Dave Carrier. Last summer, we were in the middle of a drought. For 20-plus years, I've been trying to make sure Marshfield's water is drinkable and there's enough of it around for everybody. It was a question of setting a new precedent of getting irrigation systems on traffic islands. I voted against to change the policy. It has nothing to do with the veterans. My uncle was in the Battle of the Bulge. My uncles were in the Pacific, up and down the coastline. All my friends were in Vietnam. I support the veterans. The issue is not veterans. The issue is you have a veterans island, which is beautiful, and I'm 100% behind making it beautiful. I would entertain hearing as an exception to a policy, not the norm. I'm trying to get it. We don't need to have irrigation on every single island in this town. We need to protect our water supply. But there are exceptions. But in the time that you came to our board, it was in the middle of a drought. So I voted to change policy in the middle of a drought to protect our water supply. That's where I'm at.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shaughnessy. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Now, we're going to go to a vote. And Madam Clerk, if I am correct, this is the last vote that needs to be taken tonight? Yes. All right. So, this requires a majority vote for passage. All those in favor of Article 14, raise your hand. All those opposed? Clearly passes by more than a majority. Now, the business of the special town meeting for October 2022 being concluded, I hereby declare that the town meeting is dissolved. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.